It's less about like, oh, what drum part are you going to play? It's more like, what do you need drums to do to this song? It's crazy. It's like that's one of the things that I'm so grateful for. I still am like, wow, I can't believe that this is my life.
Welcome everybody to episode 88 of the Nashville Drummers Podcast. We're kicking off June with none other than Aksel Coe. Aksel is a multi-platinum session drummer and engineer who works out of his home studio and commercial studios in Nashville. His recording credits include Ella Langley, who of course won big at this year's ACMs, including Song of the Year with Choosin Texas. And you can thank Aksel for the drums on that one. Additional credits include Role Model, Holly Humberstone, Bryan, Sierra Ferrell, Margo Price, Orville Peck, Sasha Sloan, Cody Jinks, Barber, Wyatt Flores. I mean, the names just go on and on. For anyone interested in recording and producing, this is the episode for you. Aksel doesn't shy away from sharing his thoughts, advice, and the detailed processes of being a working session drummer in 2026. We get into topics like technical facility versus musicianship, when and when not to buy cheap gear, avoiding burnout, his take on New Nashville, what is a sample pack and how to create your own, and we even dive into Aksel's acting debut in the 2025 biographical drama Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Really appreciated Aksel being so open. I know I walked away from this one feeling super inspired myself to dive more into recording, and we hope you feel the same if that's a goal of yours. Either way, we hope you enjoy episode 88 with Aksel Coe.
We're
live. So you're a Dillinger fan.
I am a Dillinger fan.
Dude.
Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite Dillinger album?
I think Calculating Infinity. Is that the name of the record?
Yeah.
It's that one or I'm not going to remember. It's been a while, but it's like the green cover one. This is like deep lore for me. Like I'm accessing like maybe middle school or high school.
Yeah. Why can't I think of it?
It wasn't Chris on drums. It was the next guy and the new vocalist. Something Infinity.
One of Us is the Killer?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. But
anyway.
But Calculating Infinity was a huge one for me. And like I feel like there's sometimes, especially like when you're first starting out playing, like you can hear stuff and not actually comprehend it. I guess if that makes sense. Like, like that stuff.
If you're hearing Dillinger in general and comprehending it, then kudos.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But like there's a couple records like that. Like when I first started listening to stuff, there was like Herbie Hancock Empyrean Isles. It's Tony Williams on drums. And I would mow lawns because I was saving up to buy like a set of Dream cymbals at the time. I was like getting into jazz, and I knew that was like a good option for like hand hammered cymbals and stuff. So I would mow this lady's lawn for like push mower for like 2 or 3 hours, and I would be listening to that record on my like green iPod Nano.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell me where the downbeat was. Like
no.
Which now it's like as your ear gets trained and you get older and play more music, it's easier. Mm-hmm. But there's some stuff like that where I would listen to a whole record and literally just not know what was happening, but I knew I liked the way it sounded. But Dillinger's like the number one, like just like the clusters of the China cymbal maybe or whatever, but it's just like these flurries of linear crazy stuff.
Yes.
And I still find that like it's good to listen to stuff that's very different from what you play because it's a palate cleanser of sorts.
That's
like,
so good. Yeah.
Like I'm, if I only ever, because like I feel like right now, especially like I record so much quieter, I'm not necessarily hitting super hard. It's more like muffled 70s vibe stuff, but like, so therefore I'm like, well, I got to go listen to Norma Jean or
metal
like,
or something.
Or Lil Uzi Vert, like some SoundCloud rap because it's not, it has no like form or function to what I do for work. So, but it's still music. It's still like organized sound.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Dillinger's sick.
Do you ever do that before? Because I used to have a little bit of a practice of doing that before I would do a performance. I'm like, I want to actually palate cleanse before I do the thing. So I'm not maybe being informed by something similar.
Yes. That's actually a good point. I don't know if I ever do it specifically before. Well, I guess like these days, just because I record more, everything's kind of improvised. So, but I think back when I would tour, there'd be a lot of times where you're trying to find newness and playing the same set every night. And sometimes you play with artists where it's celebrated to, like, oh, on this bridge, I'm going to play halftime, even though it's full time. And sometimes it's like, hey, man, if you do that again, like, we're going to get a different drummer. Or it's like, that was awesome. Like, that you breathed new life into it.
Yeah, right.
A lot of the stuff that I would do, especially like when I first moved to town, when I toured, I wasn't doing a lot of tracks gigs or even country stuff. It was a lot of indie rock tours where you're out for 6 weeks and you play almost every night. And you, after a certain point, you have to find something inspiring. So, but I think that maybe is the opposite, where I wouldn't listen to something, or I guess maybe sometimes you do listen to something and you go like, how am I going to incorporate this into the set? And then you probably, if you're thinking about it, doesn't happen very well, or it sneaks in naturally.
Yeah, if you try to force it, it might not work.
Yeah. That's like a very interesting thing about drumming that I feel like you can kind of tell sometimes, like especially if I look at old videos of myself playing back in the day or whatever, is like you can tell when someone's thinking about what they're about to play. It's like, so you can tell it's like, oh, there's a thought process of they're trying to play a fill, or there's a part that's coming up and you can feel the like song start to speed up, or like you can tell like I'm grabbing the sticks harder.
Holding your breath.
Holding your breath. That's
you tense up. Right?
Yeah, you tense up, you hold your breath. It's like, and then can I pull this off? And the breathwork thing is huge, which I have zero thing to say about because I haven't really worked on it. But it's something that's in my mind of like, how can I control that? Because I know what it feels like to not be breathing properly, but I'm like trying to process all this information and I haven't figured out a way to like, catch up, I guess.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any tips for that?
Man, I mean, we've talked about breathwork on this show a fair amount. I remember Drew Marshall. Shout out Drew. We talked about that pretty early on. What's that guy's name? Like the wizard behind, like that well-known YouTuber.
Oh, Wim Hof?
Wim Hof. The Wim Hof method.
Wim Hof, yeah.
I've honestly, I mean, I can't say I've been super religious with that practice, but like, I do find myself, if it's before a gig or just any kind of stressful situation,
right?
I will, whether I'm in my car or behind stage, I'll breathe in very heavily and like literally think of all the things that could go wrong, all the things that are causing me stress.
Right.
Suck it in, hold it for like 10 seconds, and then breathe out and just physically relax.
So you're almost visualizing the stressors and you're doing
then
like a mechanism.
It's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
Even if those things happen, like
yes,
that's something that I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I guess I would say if you're just thinking breath work as it applies to the drum set, I would say do your chops.
Right.
Super, like crazy slow.
Oh, I see.
And just focus on your breathing. Focus on using the least possible energy to do all of that stuff.
Right.
And just making your breathing totally relaxed.
Cool.
It's like you process the whole thing differently.
Right. So you would almost take something that you know that you have facility of, but maybe is on like the higher end of the spectrum of like your headroom, I guess.
Yes.
And then use that as the thing to like practice.
Yes.
Yeah. I know people have talked about it so much, and it's like one of those things that, because anytime I get a chance to practice, I want to like get back to the things that I was working on last.
Yeah.
But the idea of like, well, you're not going to learn anything new, but you're going to get better at everything actually sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
That sounds great.
Now that I said it that way, I'm like, I should probably do that.
That checks out. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you working on right now?
I mean, I would love to be practicing more. I guess the last time I had like a consistent time where I would actually, play drums with the intention of getting better, and it wasn't in a work context or, because I would say there's a lot of things that might seem like practice, like even if you're making Instagram videos of your playing for the purpose of posting them or whatever, like I would not even consider that practice, like, because there's still some sort of medium that you think someone's going to consume it in, but just sitting behind a drum kit and, am I going to work on, like my left-hand independence against a ride cymbal or like something like that, where you're just trying to get better at something and there's no like quantifiable place where it's going to be consumed by people.
Sure.
I think the last time I was doing that, I'll put together a playlist of feels that are maybe more physically demanding that I don't feel like I'm good at.
Yeah.
It's what's the name of the playlist? It's something funny. I like use like Animal from the Muppets as like the Spotify cover, and it's called like Get in Shape or something.
Nice.
So it looks like it's a workout playlist, but it's a drum workout playlist.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
But I think it's Georgie Porgy by Toto. Like, so that's like fast 16ths.
Yeah.
And then I think it goes into, what is it? Maybe it's like Tush by ZZ Top, like a really fast shuffle, it's like your button mashing as far as like, it's not, so it's like that shuffle is really hard for me to play. I think, What Can You Bring Me by Charles Wright. So it's James Gadsden on drums. And it's probably, I think it's one of the fastest right-hand 16th. It's possible that they sped it up on tape or something, but I mean, they probably just played it. I don't. There's some lore there, but it's like maybe like 110 BPM, and
Nasty.
Gadsden's playing super quiet, and the song speeds up over time. I think it's 3 minutes long, but it's like if I can get that, if I can play that, then I know I'm in shape per se.
Yeah.
So it's that. It's a Hank Mobley tune. Like maybe it's This I Dig of You, or it's off of Soul Station, that record. So it's Art Blakey on drums. So there's a lot of great shuffle feels. But the list goes on. But it's less like practicing stuff, and it's more like trying to lock into a groove or a feel for 4 minutes, because that's something that for me, I'm lacking that, because if I'm not playing shows all the time, you really lose a lot of the facility of actually just being able to sit and play drums for 45 minutes. Because recording so much, like, oh, what's the snare drum sound like? Or let me do this. And then you do a take and then you stop and you talk about it. Like, you're not actually playing drums very much.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a good point. What percentage would you say is like the engineering, pre-production versus like the performance tracking?
Right. I think at home there's a lot more, getting sounds and messing with stuff. And because I'm engineering, you're almost doing two jobs. And sometimes when I have people over, because I track remote a lot, but when I say remote, I mainly just mean like people come over to my house, which is very lucky that I live in Nashville, because if I lived out somewhere not in the music industry town, it would be a lot of true remote stuff. But a lot of times people come over, and that way I always prefer the person to person, but I'll do audio movers and stuff. But a lot of times I'll do all the engineering stuff, get sounds, and then I'll be like, all right, this is a moment now where I'm officially taking off the engineer hat and I'm putting on the drummer hat. So I'll even say like, hey, let's not worry about like the part, because you can sit down and be like trying to decide your snare drum, and someone's like, oh man, that's not the right groove. Or like, what if you tried this? And if you do that, you'll start going down the rabbit hole of working on the part. But the part might change based on what sounds you're getting. Yeah. So I'm always like, I'm just going to play some stuff. That's a really good point, man. And it's not going to be good. So don't think about me as a drummer right now. And I'm just getting phase. And then once we get there and I'm like, all right, we feel good about this and we're getting the sounds that we feel good about, I'm going to like, take a deep breath. And then now I'm the drummer again. Yeah. But so I think at home there can be a lot more engineer stuff. It just depends. I think like a typical Nashville music row, like a 10 to 1 or 2 to, like when you do like union time blocks, it's a 3-hour session basically. So a lot of times with that kind of stuff, people are trying to maybe track 4 songs in a block. So there's not a lot of downtime at all. Yeah. So that's one where you might actually be playing and break a sweat. But there's other stuff where, you might do one take because you're playing with an artist that doesn't really use click, and you get the take and now you're sitting around for 4 hours while they do pedal steel overdubs, and you're just sitting in the lobby and like, not doing anything. Right. So for how much you work, you might not actually be playing the drums very much. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
So that's one thing that I feel like I'm not jealous of, but that's something that I miss is when you play, even if you're on tour and you play an hour-long set every night, you're still getting a consistent, regimen of playing something, a consistent degree, and you're in front of people, so you're not gonna just like play super quiet. Like you get your chops up. Mm-hmm. But sometimes with recording, I'm like, I spent all day going, I'm like, I didn't really get better at drums today, but I got better at music, which is more important. But
I would argue that you're getting better in a really hyper-specific domain.
Yes.
Which can feel like it may not have carryover to the rest of your playing, but reality is it probably does.
For sure. And maybe that's my own bias of feeling like, if I'm not, playing like a fast samba or whatever, like I didn't get better at drums. And the truth is, I think you always get better when you try something or work on anything. I think it all adds together.
Yeah. And, obviously as a working professional drummer, you're getting hired to do the thing. Obviously it's working enough for you. So there's something to be said just for that, like if it's,
Yeah. And I know there's some people that say they never practice anymore. And I can see why you would, because your life gets busy and, different things. There's different priorities. That's something that I really feel grateful to like have gone to music school. Yeah. Not because I liked getting a music degree really, but I had so much time to practice my instrument and feel like I could kind of catch up to where I wanted to be, and you could spend that time and not feel bad about it because you're in school versus, if you're just, practicing's fun to me. Like I actually really enjoy it.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
That time is that's the time that you really spend in the shed.
Yeah.
And looking back, I remember people being like, man, just enjoy it. Just practice as much as you want. And I'd be like, but I got to do other stuff. And it's like, well, your whole life, you're going to never have this much time again.
Yeah, exactly. That's the time to do it.
I would kill
Oh my
for
gosh.
6 months right now to just do nothing but practice. Oh my
Right.
God.
And it's this thought of like you're, in middle school and you're like, summer break's coming up. I have so much time to do whatever,
Yeah.
practice or just be a kid.
I'll play N64.
Yeah, play video games, just live life and, go, scooter around the neighborhood for 5 hours.
Yeah.
But someday,
Also not wasted time.
none of it's wasted time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're scootering, you got to work on the tricks. But,
Yeah.
but like,
Dude, the amount of nights like growing up when I was younger, like on my street, we had a bunch of little kids. We were all friends. We were just really lucky to have that. And like the amount of nights I would just like be outside running around and like shooting hoops.
Yeah.
When I could have been getting better at my instrument. Again, like not time wasted. In the
Right.
moment, I wasn't
Right.
like, I mean, I think that balance
you
is
get a
also
time
healthy.
machine, you
100%.
go to your kid self.
I could have been freaking
"Listen,
Matt
man,
Garska at
you're-"
this point.
I will say that is something that like
Was I
I
going to
don't.
be in the NBA? Why was I playing basketball?
You're like,
no
you got
shot.
to optimize your time, kid. Like, but I will say that is something that I do think about. And, you can't, we don't have time machines. And
Right.
ultimately, it's just you're on your own journey. But I do remember, like, if there's like a graph, well, I guess it'd be this way because of the camera. But like when you start out, like it's an exponential curve, I guess this way maybe. So the opposite of like the way you want your stocks to go. It's like this, like you start out
Right.
and every time you practice or work on something, you get so much better. And then after a
Starts to
certain
tail
point,
off,
and
plateaus.
I don't know if that's like neuroplasticity of being young or if that's just the learning curve of anything.
Probably.
But sometimes I wish I could go back and be like, dude, I know you're like practicing a lot, but just do even more. But, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But but even just having that time, I think back, when you're a kid, you think, oh, someday my whole life is going to be summer break. And that's like a very nice fantasy to have. And then you get older and you go, oh, well, I'm a full-time drummer. All I do is drum, but I still don't have time to practice like I thought I would.
Yeah, I'm doing my taxes now. Shit.
Oh, yeah, I got to do those. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. So, then let's talk about your whole journey to the drum set and how did you get involved in music? Was it you grew up in a musical household, all that kind of stuff?
I did not grow up in a musical household. My parents loved music. It's interesting. My mom actually worked at Warner as like a receptionist / she was kind of in the mix there and did a lot of music stuff there. But my family, like my parents kind of had like a come to Jesus moment in their early 20s and kind of threw out all the cool records. So growing up, we were like a little bit in like a music drought, which, now it's funny as an adult, I'll be talking to my parents about music and they're like, man, we really kind of went super hard into like just throwing away all the Zeppelin records. And I'm like, man, that would have been sweet if I had those.
Dang.
So
That's brutal.
So they love music and I love my parents. I had a great childhood, but it just wasn't. We had piano lessons, which was good, but there wasn't a ton of, music just being played in the house or the radio. We had some like, Stephen Curtis Chapman or DC Talk, like some early, CCM artists.
And where's home again?
Home for me was in a military family. My dad was in the Marines, so we moved around a bunch, but most of my childhood was in Camas, Washington, which is like it's a small like paper mill town outside of Portland, Oregon. So basically in Portland. It was maybe 20 minutes to downtown Portland.
Cool.
So
you're West Coaster as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
West Coast, yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it's so funny, like right after I graduated high school, my whole family left there, so I haven't really even been back to that little like city.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of where I grew up. And I started playing drums really just because in 6th grade, you have to pick between choir or band. And in my brain, I was, like I was a 6th grader. I was like, well, if I join band, I can just play the like bass drum because that's easy. And, I wasn't like a lazy kid, but just to me, I didn't really think either of them sounded that cool.
Right.
So I joined band and, got on the snare drum and started getting lessons from this guy, Keith Abbott, he was like my first drum teacher. And, he was an awesome teacher and he was really good he played bass too. And, he played drums. But initially it was, hey man, like, I just need to learn, like my mom basically probably told him like, hey, we're just working on snare drum stuff for 6th grade band. So I was working on that and it was fine. I had my little Remo practice pad.
Yep.
And then near the end of the semester, there was a concert and there was, basically 3 songs that had drum set. So my teacher was like, do you want to play We Will Rock You? on drum set. And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds fun.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah.
So the next lesson I went in and I was like, hey, I think like I need to learn the drum set because I have this, sheet music of We Will Rock You. So
it's not just snare, mama. I need more drums.
I need more drums. But I remember that was the day that I like took the paradiddle and put it on the hi-hat, and he taught me like if you play the kick drum in the paradiddle, it's like this cool kind of linear groove. And I remember I was like, oh, I like this. And then I learned the jazz beat, which is funny, thinking of jazz as like, oh, that's also you just play the jazz beat and then you can play jazz, which is kind of true. But but that was kind of
that's how you start.
Yeah, you just play the jazz beat. But that was like the door was opening a little bit for me in that way. And then from there, I kind of just became obsessed with it. But yeah, I was not very good, I will say. Like it wasn't like I was a prodigy or I started out. Like it wasn't like I picked up sticks and I was a natural or anything. Like there's old videos of me playing and I wasn't bad, but it wasn't like I came from a super just like talented, whatever.
Yeah, I had young and scrappy, learning.
Just learning stuff. But that's like the very early basis of my playing was We Will Rock You. So
love that.
At that time, rather, who were you starting to listen to?
At that time, it was a lot of me and my older brother. We figured out what LimeWire was, so we would.
Dude,
let's go.
Yeah,
I was a LimeWire kid.
Oh yeah,
too.
it was. Yeah. I mean that probably got me. It was LimeWire, and then I think someone burned "They're Only Chasing Safety" by Under Oath and gave it to my brother. So like my parents were like out for a walk or something, and we were like, "What's the CD?" We like put it in and just heard the craziest stuff and totally blew our minds.
Hey, mom and dad. This is Christian music.
Exactly. And that's kind of how it worked was there's all this, Christian metal or hardcore and it was Christian. So it kind of was the loophole into this, and now growing older and realizing a lot of those bands weren't even Christian anyways. But, it's Christian themes and it's fine and it's aggressive and exciting. So for me, that's kind of what got me excited about playing drums is I was like, I want to be able to play the breakdown and the So I started trying to do that, and I for Christmas one year I got the Gibraltar single chain double kick pedal, and I immediately just started trying to work on that instead of working on the basics.
Right. Yeah.
And I think I had a moment very early on where I just was like, I'm not good at double kick. And at the time I was doing the jazz band thing, and I started learning about Buddy Rich and Max Roach and all those guys, and I was like, I think I love metal for what it is, and that's still what I listen to. But I realized I was like, I think the jazz thing is really like exciting to me, which I think that was probably the path of depending on if I was good at double kick, I'd probably be a lot different of a drummer now.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But that was kind of the fork in the road. But yeah, so I grew up on a lot of the I basically coming home from school and I would just get on YouTube and look at old videos of Art Blakey playing or like Max Roach, Elvin Jones drum battle or all those classic old YouTube, you basically like teach yourself things on YouTube, and it was crazy, just the wealth of information on there. So
having that access at our fingertip was huge.
Yeah, I feel honestly really lucky that I was in the era where I didn't have a smartphone, but I had enough stuff on the internet, but it wasn't algorithmic yet. So I would have to just search like, oh, I want to look up, John Coltrane with Elvin Jones. You search it, but there's not a million things trying to pull your attention.
Yeah,
right. You're like, actually, Fortnite. And then you're like, oh, now I'm distracted. And something that's like algorithmic that's designed to distract me
100%
is there. But
the good old days,
Yeah.
You're a 90s kid too then?
Yeah, 95. So
okay. 30 93.
Yeah, I've crested the hill of my 30s.
Oh boy.
Very nice.
So,
Welcome.
Yeah, it's not bad so far. It's
30. I think 30s are great.
Yeah.
Is your back starting to hurt a little bit more?
My back's hurt for pretty much I've always had a low
as
back.
a studio drummer,
Yeah, and just
posture. Yeah, we'll get into all that.
Yeah, posture. I'll take any breathwork stuff, any posture stuff. I'm all ears. Will fix me.
Somewhere Dave Elich has just gotten your email address.
I think I got the airlift throne because of what he talked about.
Really?
Okay. Was that I was like, he was like, this is the best one, and I was like, well, this is the guy that
if he says that, then
if he says
probably
that,
some truth to it.
Yeah. So, but it squeaks. So.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm here to say airlift is out.
There you go.
First controversial take.
Yes.
Airlift sucks.
It's a hot take, guys, in the podcast.
3 reasons why you can't use a DW airlift throne.
Yeah.
I love it.
That would just be one of the smaller things.
Our social clips, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're making this edit very easy.
I gotta set you guys up and make it really easy. Yeah.
Yeah. That the
I'll not be hitting DW up for a sponsorship.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be the smaller thing on the list of things that I disagree with Dave Dave Elitch on, but
Is that throne?
yeah.
Yeah, I bought into it, and I was, I got my Sweetwater guy. That's one of my hot takes. Is I'm fully into Sweetwater now.
You're like there.
It was years
let's go.
How is that a hot take?
Well, I think there was years of it was kind of a meme of like your Sweetwater guy always calls you, and it was a little pushy.
It's
the best,
Have you seen the one of the guy standing at the urinal at the furthest one?
Yeah. That's it.
Hey, we've been trying to
exactly. And you like have like an XLR cable in there. He's like, hey man, how's your music career going? And he's like somehow massaging your back, even though he's in Indiana.
Yeah.
He's like, how's your music career, man, going in Nashville? How's that going out? Do you need that cable, man? We'll send you some candy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
But I realized on Sweetwater is you can just make a shopping cart and you just text or email your rep and be like, hey man, see my shopping cart? Like, can you give me a deal on any of this stuff?
Yeah.
And they'll give you a deal. But it's a little bit less like, like it's just whether or not they can give you a deal or not. And it shows up really quick. So
they're the best.
yeah. So
you just kind of lean in a little bit.
I lean in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't have like any I've never like had, especially not playing live. Like it would be awesome to be like, I'm with Yamaha and I get all their hardware at cost or whatever. But I've generally just always just had to buy stuff. And I do the major mistake. 3 things you shouldn't do as a drummer is buy a bunch of used stuff on Facebook Marketplace. That's like there's been so many things where I just buy something used because I think I'm saving money, but it's kind of used already and it's not that great. And if you just buy it new, it's just done.
Even microphones?
No.
Okay,
no.
yeah, because that's a different
ball game for sure. I wish it was like that. I mean,
sure.
I was just talking to a guy at the studio earlier today, and I'm not into vintage gear because I'm a total hipster, which I probably am, but like I would love it if, the new 414s were just as good as the old ones, but certain things are made differently. And it's kind of annoying because I like the idea of like, yeah, this is a mic that no one's smoked any cigarettes in or spit in or dropped 15 times. But it's like maybe it's not made as well as the old ones, so you have to buy 3 of the old ones to find the one that sounds good. So
that's a good point.
That's why you got to have a Sweetwater guy, because sometimes you just need it shiny and new, and
exactly,
and it just works.
Dude, I was having that thought literally like 2 days ago. I'm just like, I find myself, in the moment, maybe buying something cheap. Or like, I feel like in life, not to get too deep with that, but like in life as a consumer, we always have, obviously we have choices of like to get the high end thing, whatever it is, whether it's a microphone, a new snare.
Yes.
Or like, especially like any like audio cables, when you if you want to get like the third party cables on Amazon cheaper, or the Apple version.
Right. Yes.
From Apple. I find myself like maybe in the past, I would cheap out and buy like the thing that works, but then like I find myself replacing that same thing with the higher end version that I passed on years later.
That's kind of what I'm talking about.
So if I could go back, if I go back in time, it's like just buy the high end thing up front, like,
and then you have less stuff,
more reliable, less stuff.
Because we just by nature, if you have a drum set, you probably have a couple, you have a lot of snares, and if you record, it's like there's so many things.
Yeah.
And I've realized like, oh well, it's better to have the higher quality thing and just don't buy as much stuff.
Yeah.
But just have stuff that works really well.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, because you go into Nelson Drum Shop and there's a cool crazy snare for $200 and you're like, well, I might use this, and then you buy it and you use it, but then you have 30 snares or whatever, and you're like,
how many snares do you have, Aksel?
I don't know.
Uh-oh.
I probably have like 20, 25.
Okay.
Which is a lot, but
that's a healthy amount.
It's a healthy amount, but once again, it's not like every snare is like a $1,000 snare for me. And I found this is not just because I'm like, love buying used stuff, but generally I find that I get a snare, and if it sits well in a certain spot, I just leave it there and I don't really tune it. So it's better to have multiple stuff than like, I love the idea of like, well, you could get everything done. Well, I believe this. You can get everything done with 3 snare drums.
Yeah, if you know how to tune and use accessories.
Exactly. Yeah. But in the world of sessions, you don't have time to go, exactly. Oh, well, if I take that Black Beauty and put a different head on it and tune it this way, it will sound awesome. It's like, well, we
don't have another hour.
We're already getting takes. So like it's too late.
Just grab the drum.
So it's better to have it's almost like presets, You're
100%,
like, So it's probably like 25 snares, which maybe less, maybe 22. I don't know.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
But I've also like never really like, I find that, a lot of the things that I use are somewhere between the $300 to $600 range, like I bought a Keplinger once and I was like, I'm just not this guy. Like,
Yeah.
this just like the way I play doesn't necessarily like warrant having this drum, even though it's awesome. You know, I kind of have like a rule too, where if I don't put it on enough tracks, it just gets sold, you know, and I'll just, you know, move on and get something different because you can't just hoard stuff if you don't ever use it.
Good threshold to have for yourself.
Yeah.
Let's talk stage presence. Rezo Custom Drum Heads, powered by FDS Drum Services, is the easiest way to upgrade your look without actually, you know, practicing. Rezo is what the pros are using on world tours right now. They've outfitted some of the biggest names in the industry because these custom heads are chip resistant, affordable, come in multiple finishes, and look incredible. Logos, photos, or that weird drawing your bassist did. If you can dream it, Rezo can print it. Plus, they've got 5-star reviews, lightning fast turnaround, and they even do rush orders for you last-minute legends. Stop settling for good enough and get a custom head that survives the road. Get a free t-shirt with your order at rezoheads.com. That's REZO heads.com. Use code NDPFAM for a listener discount. That's NDPFAM.
One question we always ask our guests, what was that first drum set? Just kind of back to you as a young drummer.
First drum set it was at Trade Up Music in Portland off of, well, it was right next to where the original Stumptown coffee shop was. So Stumptown used to just be like a single room. So there was the roaster in there and, you know, so it was right next to that and just, you know, setting the scene here.
Yeah.
But it was a Ludwig's Accent CS combo.
Nice.
So you can envision the like super chunky tom arms that just fully stab in. There's no suspension mounts or anything.
Yeah,
just
arm off
right
the
in.
kick drum. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was that.
Fisheye look.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like 12 by. You're like a kid. It's like the toms. It's a 22-inch kick drum, and the toms are up here, so you can't even really get the angle right.
Yeah.
There's like 12, 13, 16 with ZBTs. So I had 14-inch ZBT hi hats, and I can still remember what they sound like.
Oh yeah.
And then like an 18-inch crash ride. That was it.
Yep.
So you got, you know, just 2 cymbals and
Make it work.
yeah, and I you know, went pretty hard on that. And then I think the next thing I bought was a Sabian AA 17-inch fast crash. That was my first pro cymbal.
Yeah, the AAX, right? Is that the?
I think it was just a regular AA.
Okay.
I don't even know if they make this specific
Gotcha.
cymbal anymore, which I still have.
Yep.
And I'm
You
not
still
like
use it?
I still use it all the time.
Really?
Where it's just a bottom hi-hat, and then I have this 17-inch projection crash that has a huge chunk out of it, and that's like my 17-inch hats or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I used like primarily for many years. For some reason, I thought that was a good idea. So that cymbal has stayed with me, and then the first pro snare was a Pearl Sensitone, like a 14 by 6.5, whatever. I think it's probably aluminum or something, but it's like they're
Yep.
And I still use that snare like all the time.
Yeah, it's great.
Too.
Yeah.
It was like on this record I did like, I guess in 2022 called American Heartbreak by Bryan, which was a very huge record. It went like triple platinum, which is crazy, but it was that snare.
That is crazy.
I mean, obviously I changed the snare, but it was like, that was a fun full circle moment of like, oh, like this, the first snare drum I used like,
That's pretty special.
made it on this, record, and I'm like playing with brushes or whatever.
Yeah.
So shout out Pearl. I don't have a drum endorsement, but they make great drums. So
Yeah, I could loop you in on that.
Yeah.
we can talk afterwards.
Yeah, hey.
We can talk offline.
Actually, speaking of Pearl, the second kit that I got, so in Portland, there's Revival Drum Shop,
Yes,
which
there is.
The prototype of vintage drum shops, and they were awesome. I would go there and hang out like in high school and
I love that
with
place, man.
Jose and Jake, and
Never been.
it was amazing. But I learned about, there's this drummer there that I was getting lessons from. His name's Gabe Katz, and he was like in a lot of cool, like, do you know this guy?
I love Gabe.
Okay, you know Gabe.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's my boy. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
crazy.
Gabe's a savage.
He's insane. Yeah, so I was getting lessons from him in high school. I think we did like 2 or 3, but he was, he told me about the band Battles and like totally hipped me to all this crazy stuff that was very outside of my sphere. But there's this.
I'm nerding out because I just started listening to Battles again after so many years.
There's like that, whatever that. Like he taught me that beat and stuff, and he was such an accurate player. And I think this video still exists, but I was in Revival when they took this video, but they had a Pearl President, which is like the phenolic resin.
I was going to ask you about that because
Yeah.
you have that snare. Or you have the full kit?
Yeah, I
too?
have a full kit. I haven't really used the full kit for a while for whatever reason. But they had one of those, and it was like the yellow, I don't know what you call it, like Strata wrap. But he's playing that kit, and it's like on their YouTube. But I'm like in the video, like in the back. I don't know if I'm in it or whatever, but he's playing it. And even in this video, it's like, it just came into the shop. It's probably not even tuned or whatever. But like, it's insane how good it sounds.
Yeah.
And he was like one of those people that, like I met when I was young and had a really big impact, and also just like great dude. So I haven't seen him in forever, but the beauty of the internet is you kind of keep in touch with people and see what they're doing and stuff. So
Yeah, I love
that's
that guy.
crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Small
I played a
world.
few shows with him. At first I saw him play. Shoot, it was a 2-piece. Oh, and it was how did they combined their two names? I can't remember. It was like him and a guy named Jamie, and I think it was just called like Gamey.
I like that.
And then I played some shows with his band Hoarders, and they had that.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Wow, small world.
Yeah,
really.
Another cool thing about music is that as long as you're not a weirdo, like, because if you're weird, then everybody knows you're weird, and then your career's over. But if you're not weird, then like you get access to this amazingly small.
God, I'm fucked.
Yeah. Or you're weird. No, we're fine. Everybody's fine. But yeah, I actually still use a lot of those Pearl Presidents. It's kind of one of those things, like there's certain things, speaking of Hoarders, I'll buy, if I know I like something, I'll just buy it every time it comes online. So like those snares, like there's one I think for sale on Reverb right now. So if someone's out here that's listening to the podcast in the future, great recording snare. It's also one of those things where you can't really do what that drum does with anything else. Like certain things are like that, where it just has that proprietary, it's kind of like a wood fiberglass, I guess. So it's like,
you're talking about the phenolic?
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Yeah, I think it is.
It's like fiberglass, but it's almost like particle board or something. But like a fiberglass, just a pure fiberglass, is maybe just a little less warm. But you get a little bit of warmth, I think, just because there is wood in it. But it's not like a wood fiberglass where there's wood and fiberglass together. It's just still like a resin, basically. So for snares, it's like you get the immediacy of whatever the thing is. It's not like the drum takes time to like I don't know, like a brass or bronze versus aluminum. Like aluminum's such a quick metal versus, the reason why I like Black Beauties is because it kind of, I don't know if this is scientific, but it almost feels like the transient's slower on certain shell materials.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
I think. So like Luan mahogany is very porous and very, so you get an old, Japanese stencil kit and it's the warmest thing you've ever heard versus you get a recording custom and you're like, wow, it's kind of like brittle and, which they're just different tools or whatever. But that's one of those drums that just does a specific thing that I don't really know how to do with anything else, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey drummers, do you need a place to practice on actual drums? Drumbox has locations in Lafayette and Longmont, Colorado, and their newest location is right here in Nashville, Tennessee. You can book sessions online and get the space to yourself. Each Drumbox location is fully equipped with 2 kits, cymbals, hardware, and even sticks are provided. 30-minute, 1-hour, and 2-hour sessions are available at www.drumbox.space. Use the coupon code ANDP25 for 25% off your first session. The coupon code is valid at all 3 locations. Again, that's www.drumbox.space.
Honestly, like once again, vintage versus new, like you get a new kit, generally you're not going to have to like pack all the lugs with, I guess like cotton balls or whatever, you get the spring rattle, or you're in the middle of a session and something now is making like a little metal sound and you're trying to track it down.
Like
and
a million moon gels and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, there's always
that.
What is that? I was playing something. I think it's a certain era of Rogers where the springs are so tight, woundly in the snare lugs that if you do a cross stick, it's like, ding. But it's cool. It's almost like a spring reverb.
Yeah, literally.
If all your drums are muffled and everything's really dead, you hear the mechanical nature or your drum throne squeaking. If you're me, you hear those things more when you muffle stuff.
Yes.
Which is what everybody. Well, not everybody, but that seems to be more of like the way that we're trying to get sounds, I guess, these days.
Yeah, for sure.
Which there's another way of doing it, which is don't muffle anything and just tune everything really well and be in a good room and use less mics. And, you know, it's if nothing's muffled, then you can just kind of bring up the faders, and there's so much energy that you're either trying to find that later on if everything's taped up and dry and dark and stuff, but then you're going to compress it all a bunch. It's like you almost can achieve a similar energy, not tone, but you can achieve the same energy just depending on what path you're on. And I think like the pendulum of recording right now is very in like 70s world, which is fun and I enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's a whole nother side that I think is really exciting that I'm excited to get better at, because I think it just depends on where you're at. And it's like you might be doing something a bunch, and then in 5 years there could be a different flavor, and you could be learning that or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing that you've I won't say perfected, but the thing that you have leveled up in that will not become a useless skill at any point.
No, for sure. I don't think anything you level up in ever is a useless skill.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But at the same time, I think you're right. It's like I found that, especially right now, it's like really good to have a certain identity, or I feel like a lot of my friends, like we talk about this concept of like, so you work and your favorite thing to do is now your job, and it will become work no matter what. I mean, this is a philosophy. You guys, like, not everybody will agree with this, but I think I have a job, and it just so happens it's a really cool job and I love doing it, but I still work.
Yeah.
And I work almost every day now, which is awesome, but it's like, okay, well, how can you shape that or spin that in a way to where it's still fun instead of getting super jaded and not liking it? Because sometimes your reward for being really busy and doing well, or people liking what you do, is doing more stuff. And that can lead to a road where you're like, oh, I'm kind of feeling burnt out, and now I just have a job that I don't really like, and I almost resent it because it's the thing I used to love the most. And I think a good way to combat that is if you find your identity of something that you feel like you're good at, and that doesn't mean that you don't push yourself, but if there's a world where you are being yourself and you kind of stay over in that corner instead of trying to grab every single opportunity, if you wait a little bit longer and people start coming to you, if you get called to do something you feel really comfortable with and you feel like you're contributing and it feels awesome and it's pretty easy, and if you do that like, I don't know, 60% of the time, that doesn't feel like you're working as much, if that makes sense.
Totally.
So
yeah, as Nate has said, like every yes is like 1,000% all in yes. Like you're not spreading yourself too thin. Like every work, every session is like, I'm so in for this session.
Yes, I would love if that was true, but I'm not there. But
man, I love this conversation so far.
Totally.
Let's just dive into you as that working session drummer in Nashville.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, just a freaking workhorse here. I mean, I was doing some research, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I wrote down, I don't think I am. In 2025, you tracked 537 songs.
Yeah. That's real, by the way.
Good Lord.
I've had people reach out and be like, hey, man, that's not real, right? Like, you're just lying to get gigs. I'm like, no, I'm not. And I don't recommend that to anybody, honestly.
I believe it.
Don't lie to get gigs. That's a really dumb way to do things.
One easy thing to not do to keep work is don't lie.
Don't lie.
All right, podcast's over.
Aksel Coe, everybody. Yeah.
Just don't lie. It's easy. It's easy.
And then, I mean, some of the credits is kind of a who's who. I mean, you mentioned Zach Bryan, just reading some of these guys and women, Sierra Ferrell, Sam Barber, Ella Langley, Holly Humberstone, Sasha Sloan, one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
Conan Gray. So I mean, you've been busy.
It's been awesome, and like it's crazy. It's like that's one of the things that I'm like so grateful for, that I'm like getting to do all this stuff. I still am like, wow, I can't believe that this is my life, and it's really amazing. Even when it's really busy and it can feel like burnout or whatever, like that's a good thing to remind myself to kind of push up against that, because I think that's like it's crazy. So it's been. That kind of all happened just because I was lucky to be doing a lot of remote stuff before the pandemic. So I feel like that kind of shifted a lot of things for a lot of people. And for me, that was, I kind of realized, oh, like I'm already doing this. And now this is almost like I'm a barista on the side of my live job as a live drummer. So like, like if you have multiple streams of income or whatever, and you're trying to get more gigs, it's like, well, if I just keep doing this little side thing where, if I do 2 tracks or whatever, it's like I went and did a shift at a coffee shop or whatever, and I'm getting better at building my little like side business. And then hopefully someday I can do this full time, because this is what I really want to do. So I think like I hear all those credits and I'm like super stoked and like it's crazy. But there were so many years of doing this for a long time because I feel like now that things are like I've kind of pushed the momentum wheel has spun enough to where now it's like, whoa, dude, overnight success. You're playing on all these crazy records. I'm like, well, just to give context, it's like I've actually been doing it for a really long time. And honestly, like the slow grind and building up was really great because it's so much better to like have a natural progression because the worst thing you can do is be like, dude, how do I get like you, man? I'm trying to play on these things. I'm like, well, if I played on any of this stuff right when I came to town, I wouldn't have done a good job. And then I wouldn't have gotten hired back. And then now your path is way longer because you were in the room and didn't cut it. And that's worse than having 10 years of developing your craft of what you want to do.
Dude. It's like winning the lottery. Like how most people who win the lottery end up broke.
Yeah,
because
totally.
like, well, you didn't have the infrastructure mentally to deal with
having all the money,
right?
For sure.
And then the same way, I'm like, well, you get handed all this work, you get like, well, now I don't know what to do with all of this, and I can't keep up.
Because I still will get on sessions because now I feel like as there's been certain things that have crossed over into more of the commercial, like not even pop country, but just more of like general union country work. Those sessions are not easy at all. You're working with people that have recorded every day of their life for 20 years and have been doing it for so long, and their efficiency is so crazy. And for how much recording can be really fun and you're hanging with people and you're being creative, some of it is like there's still a little bit of that, like not cutthroat, but it's like a very quick machine in Nashville. And I'm lucky that I'm really now dipping my toes into that world. Cool. And I feel like I'll still roll into sessions and be like, not nervous necessarily, but really want to do a good job because I'm still like unearthing new rooms to get to be in that are very challenging and are like, oh wow, like this is actually like, I actually have to like play good and like this matters. You know? But if I was like, 5 years ago during the pandemic, like, you know what, I'm ready to be a full-time session player or whatever. And someone's like, all right, man, cool. Here's this session that like I did last week or whatever. Yeah. I would have gone there and not done a good job. And then every single person in that room goes, oh, like that guy's nice, but like, he's probably not going to like be in our world.
This guy that we need. Yeah.
And it's almost like you don't actually want those gigs yet. I don't think.
That's a really good point. You almost want to have those early years to grind and figure things out.
Or even like the remote thing. It's like, I'm so glad I had so many years on my like Focusrite Scarlett and my,
Nate's starting out right now, baby.
That's what I'm saying. But that stuff, it's like reps. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah. If you want to be an NFL football player, but you're 14 and you're good for your Pop Warner team, but hey, you know what? You can suit up. You're going to get like you're going to die. You're going to go play an NFL game and die.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
And not play
just
anymore.
Literally murdered on the field.
Murdered.
Yeah.
It's a really good analogy.
And it's like, well,
you like physically shouldn't do that yet.
Yeah, totally. And it's also, so I think that's like a good thing to remember. And I'm now in a position, this is crazy to me, but I feel like I have more people like ask me like, how do you do this? And it's like, well, first, like I can talk about the path and what I've done or whatever, but the thing that I used to feel like, man, like, how do I get there? Like, I want to do that. Now I feel like I can have a little bit, not that much, but I can have a little bit of a, like experience to say like, well, you don't actually want to like rush that process because you want to actually you want to level up you want to get sequentially better at the thing to where your talent or your ability matches the gigs that you're doing. And that's actually way better, I think,
Yeah, you get into the room and then you belong in the room.
Yes. And you still, and that is still pushing yourself.
Yes.
That's not me saying, oh man, just chill and like, just do whatever things you get offered and don't push I'm like, no, that is, you pushing yourself will be, the session world is like a weird pyramid where it like naturally kind of vets people in a certain way, like skill levels or whatever. And, it's like, I think that's actually like a good, maybe exists because of capitalism, but it's like almost protecting the investment of how much recording costs for people or whatever. So like there's like a natural hierarchy of the way it works because it's so much different to be like, hey man, can you sub on my gig? I can't make it this weekend.
Just going to say that.
It's like the worst case scenario is someone like, oh man, he was like kind of behind the click and he got like hammered and like,
we got the gig happened.
Barfed during the set. It's like, that's like a funny story of our, my long career as an artist and I played 80 shows this year versus, I just spent like, $5,000 on this major label union record, and like we can't use any of these drum tracks. And plot twist, they're still bleeding stuff because
now you have to hire the next guy to redo it all.
Yeah, or whatever. It's like the stakes are a lot higher. So
100%. Yeah.
So I'd love to be like, nah, man, sessions are chill. It's like I'm like, no, it can be.
It's a lot of pressure.
It can be. There can be a lot of
different
pressure
ball game
for sure.
Do you think that's why? I mean, a lot of times, obviously, like the live drummer for a tour for the artist is not the same as the drummer.
Right. Ooh, that's a great.
Sometimes
that's a great concept.
maybe we're seeing that more. It obviously depends on the drummer.
Sure. Yeah.
Thinking like Jake Summers and Luke Combs versus like Jerry Rowe or
right. Yes.
Or I'm thinking of like Alexandra Kay, a younger artist, and like Lou Vecchio in that situation. She did bring her live band into the studio.
Yes.
So it kind of just depends. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I think first thing I would say, like, that's something I didn't understand initially in Nashville, and I was like, well, you're not being loyal. And I think as a session player, like, I love when that works. Like, I think Jay Joyce is a producer that will use a lot of the live band guys because he likes doing that process. Yeah. It really exists because there's a certain way records are made, and maybe it's like kind of like a chicken or the egg. Like, how did the process exist? But I think a lot of it has to do with a producer. Like, when you're an artist, you hire a producer to make a record. Yeah. And there's a certain, like, well, if you want me, I kind of need to have my tools at my disposal. And my tools are these people that know what I mean when I say this. So that's one of the things is like, we have this working relationship, or I have this working relationship with different producers where we kind of understand a language. It's almost like insider trading sometimes, where you have an artist that's in the room and I know the producer's trying to tell me something to do to protect the artist's energy. Because if someone's like, hey man, this artist is way off click and they can't play with a click track, and they say that the producer says that, it can like, oh, like, I guess I suck. Like, it can totally throw off.
Right.
And once again, losing tons of money in that situation. And
so using that example then, like, so the opposite of that would probably be the MD for the live band. When he would bring that band together, understand the players. So a lot of times it's not even the artist that's making these decisions.
No, it's not. Right? It's usually not the artist.
Not, at the bigger scale.
And I think it just depends. And then maybe the other side of it too is sometimes, and this is something that like this is not controversial, but I think this is just kind of like a natural thing, is that I think if you play live with someone, especially for years, you inevitably have a certain sense of ownership because you know that you're going to be playing these songs live every night, or you've already played them live a bunch. And you're like, yeah, man, like, I know it's like just like a really good song, but like we do this crazy like halftime breakdown in the bridge, and they're like live ideas and they crush live and they're amazing. But you come with all this preconceived notions of how the song is supposed to be because you've experienced it so much in a very real setting, which is live music. Yeah. But I think it's really hard to separate that. And then also you're dealing with a lot of interpersonal dynamics, which some can be good, but there's inevitably just so much more stuff happening. And I think once again, like, you're making records and you're spending a lot of money. A lot of times it's like, we can just bring in this impartial team of people that aren't emotionally attached to this, and their feelings aren't going to get hurt. Exactly. If like, hey, Aksel, man, like, I don't think the song needs drums. Like, I'm not going to be here like, well, you said that I'm not going to be able to play on this song live for the rest of my life because now there's no drums on it. I'm like, okay, even if I wanted to play drums on the song as a session player, like, that's not really my place. Yeah. So you're kind of also buying like this impartiality, which I think can be really helpful. That being said, a lot of the music that I listen to, I love bands. I love when there's skin in the game, and I love when the drummer sucks. Yeah. Like, I listen just because
That's a hot take. I love it.
That's one of the hottest takes I've ever heard.
No,
I love it.
I would say, like, I love music that, like, this rushes, this drags, this singer's got kind of a weird voice, but like there's emotion and energy in it. Yeah. Like, I love music like that. Or it's not polished or whatever. It's like, I don't feel like, and another hot take is, I don't know if I should say that.
Man.
Okay.
Spit 'em out, baby.
Well, nothing specific, but I think in history of music, there's certain times where session players get together and make records together, and they make these super polished, insane playing. I'm not talking about anything in Nashville specifically, by the way, so no one kill me. Yeah. But it can feel very sterile because it's not like one thing's bad. Like being in a punk band and barely knowing how to play drums isn't morally, or there's not like a value on either one. It's just the way it all combines. So if you have a bunch of people that are so good at just playing music perfectly and accurately and doing this, it will sound super polished. So generally, it's like nice to have like a combo. But yeah. My hot take is like maybe not every like session all-star band record from like, you know, whenever we started recording music, like that stuff is not super interesting for me to listen to.
Sure.
Yeah, well, you said the right word. There's a lot of that can be very sterile.
For sure.
It's not to me, a lot of that stuff lacks any risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
It's just like, well, this is like what we should play here.
Yes.
This is the thing that it's not like, this is the thing in my heart.
That's a great point. Like, I think I like music that does feel like it has risk. And I think maybe something about recording that's always been more enticing to me personally is I think there's way more risk in doing normal stuff when you record versus playing live. Like, to take a risk playing live is being like, you know what, I'm cutting the tracks off and we're gonna like do the risk is a little bit different live.
Yeah, I'm gonna do halftime without telling anybody. The band will pick it up. And it'll be
they'll pick it up
moment,
and it'll be fun and like everybody like. But at the end of the day, like you have to do something more drastic for there to be risk in live stuff.
Yeah.
But in recording, you can take a risk by being like, you know what, I'm gonna change the ride cymbal out on this next take, and if this is what I end up using, they might not be able to punch in the bridge if they end up wanting to use a different section because the ride will change.
Yeah.
So it's almost like the little things become a bigger risk.
Yeah.
Which is maybe feels more exciting to me, I guess. And or not more exciting. They're both. But yeah, I don't know.
Every decision is very intentional, and
for sure
you have to be so detail focused.
Yes.
Obviously.
And I think like tying it together, I think like something that is cool about like recording music is when I first moved to town, I really had only, I mean, this is not a hot take, but it's like a fun fact. Like I had not played, like I was in college and I was playing free jazz and I was playing traditional grip and I was like playing like Paul Motion trio style, like a lot of the stuff would be like a jazz standard, but you're not even playing in time, like very impressionistic kind of stuff. And I loved doing that, but I knew at some point the music that I listened to was songs. So I was like, I know at some point, like I'm going to move to Nashville because I love songs and I like songs more than I like being a crazy drummer or whatever.
Yep.
But I moved here and I was like, all right, cool. Time to flip the traditional grip around and work. And I like my first gigs were with like wedding bands and I didn't really even understand the concept of a kick pattern. I would be like, okay, cool. Like 24 Karat Magic is this tempo and like it's like bum, scat, bum, 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 kind of. But I would never think about keeping the same kick pattern the whole song. I would just kind of freestyle it.
Yeah.
Which kind of going back to our earlier thing, it's so great that no one offered me an amazing gig at the time because I wouldn't have done a good job.
Sure.
And then I would have had this failure and you know, like, which failure is fine, but I was able to, you know, in a wedding gig, it's more like people would be like, man, like, you're so fun to play with. Like, you just don't care about the kick pattern. And I'd be like, oh. And then I was like,
what a Nashville way to say that thing.
Yeah, not in a mean way. You know, I was like 23 or something. It was like, man, you just like don't care about like the drum parts. You're just kind of going for it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't trying. It wasn't like I got on the gigs and I was playing these wedding band things and I was trying to like chop out. Like I was trying to do a good job, but I just didn't have the concept of pop song form yet. Yeah. So a lot of this stuff I would, you know, not know that you're supposed to kind of play a part or whatever. I'm like playing Sweet Caroline and I'm like just like playing a shuffle over the wrong part or whatever because I was like, I'm just trying to get through this 4-hour gig. This is crazy. Like I'm so used to playing like jazz and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd say the biggest thing for me very early on, and I knew I always wanted to record, I just didn't know what the clear path was, but I knew recording is improv. You're making the whole thing up every time. You don't listen to the songs. No one gives me songs the night before. I don't sit on my drum set and like, all right, tomorrow when I go in, like I'm gonna already have an idea of what I'm gonna do. Like I listen to the song once and I make a chart and then I go make something up for it. Now it's very like rigorous improv of like, all right, whatever like the kick pattern is, I do need to keep that consistent. Yeah. And now in verse 2, it changes by one beat and I need to remember that.
Yeah.
But it's still you're still improvising.
Well, see, I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear that. I mean, I'm even a little bit surprised to hear, and maybe it depends on the artist in the session,
right?
Because I mean, I would think that like if you're on a session, you know, if you know you're going to track something, like you'd have the songs weeks in advance. Like for me, like on a gig, I'm going to know the material weeks in advance.
Never. And if someone sends me music to record to, and they're like, "Hey man, like here's the songs," I mean, maybe people will hear this and be like offended or whatever. Like I never listen to it, not because I'm like I don't want to do any extra work. It's not that, but if I have a thought or an idea, I want to have it while I'm in the process of making it. It'd be like, all right,
you
dude,
want it to be fresh.
like you're going to do this portrait of this person and you're a painter, but here's a picture of them, but you can't paint yet, but just like look at this picture. Like,
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah,
you would
yeah.
already start making ideas of like, oh, well, like what color is their skin tone? Like, I wonder what palette I'm going to start setting up, but you can't do it yet. So you're like, oh, cool. I've just mixed together all these paints, but now they're drying and they're all getting all caked on my like whatever the paint.
And you want to be in a completely open headspace to be as creative as possible.
I think that's part of what you're paying a session player to do is you're not getting, once again, not a bad thing to have. There's multiple ways of doing it, but you're paying for a clean slate. Because my goal with recording something for somebody is not to like, my goal is just, this is their song. They're investing in this song. They're paying money for it. It's probably going to come out and they're probably going to play it the rest of their lives if they're going to be an artist for a long time. My goal is not to think about like, what's the drum part? It's like really like, how can I just help this song? And I found like, it doesn't help me to think about it as a drummer the night before and be like, do I go to like the ride and the bridge or like, do I hit the ride bell or like, you know, now
you're kind of missing the point.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now references of like, we're going for this vibe. Here's some songs that we like the sounds of.
So you typically will get some references.
Yeah. So like setting up a kit beforehand or picking mics and doing the engineering thing, you need that.
That is some valuable prep. That's different from the actual.
Yeah, but I don't want to
recording,
I don't really want to hear the songs before unless it's like, hey, you're tracking drums for a fusion band tomorrow or next week, and here's the arrangements. You should familiarize yourself with them because they're technically challenging, and you're actually going to want to rehearse this stuff.
Yeah,
I guess what I'm saying is like in the world of like songwritery music, I don't want to have like a preconceived notion. I guess if that makes sense. How
about do artists or clients ever give you like a demo? It's like, hey, like this is kind of what we actually do want. Like here is kind of the part.
Yes, and this is I mean, if there's like a tip that I could give people that would be helpful that I wish I knew is like never trust someone when they say like do your thing. Like, hey man, like we really love your playing. Like we just want you to do your thing.
Yeah, I'm like, you get that a lot. Yeah.
It's sometimes it's true, and when it is, it's awesome. But like I've been damaged by that before. Because someone's like, man, we really love what you do. Do your thing. Like, we trust you. And it's like, sometimes that's someone that hasn't done the production work yet.
They don't even know what they want.
To know what they want. And they know they want something, but they want you to take 3 or 4 spins at it to figure out what they want. And then it's like, oh, well, you're asking me to produce in a certain way for this because you haven't done the work yet.
Yeah. So that's almost like, they're asking you to almost step into another role. Away from just the recording session drummer, but as you said,
right, and not in a way where I would be like, "Hey, actually, I'm the producer now," but like, it's more like, "Hey, like, I don't want to just take a bunch of shots in the dark," and that's a great reason for why, like, when you do true remotes, it's like you should have limits on editing and stuff. But I think the thing that I've learned to really try to avoid to preserve my personal like. I'm always trying to find ways to protect myself from being jaded. And one of those things is hearing, man, like we love what you do your thing. Cause you can be like, oh my gosh, yay. But what they really mean is, man, like you get cool tones. Can you just play our demo part exactly like it is? But like just play it as a human.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean do your thing.
No, it does not.
That means play this exact part and play each fill exactly. Mm-hmm. So anytime there's a demo, if I get sent something and I'm listening to it, once again, I'm not doing this the night before or whatever. I'll be listening to the song, and if there's a demo drum part, especially like a programmed part or whatever, I'm very like, hey, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Do you want this exact demo part? And sometimes it's like, actually, we'd love an option of the demo part exactly the way it is, and then do a couple takes doing your own thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another tip I'd say is if that's the case, I always say, hey, if you're going to like hit me with the, hey man, do a crazy take at the end, have me do that at the beginning because the more I work on trying to work on whatever your part is, and sometimes the part is not necessarily like a part a drummer would play, and I'm trying not to, I generally am not emotional about it. I don't go, wait, well, you can't technically play this because it's like, it's a programmed drum part. I'm just going to do my best, but I can't do like 15 takes of trying to do some crazy programmed drum part that doesn't really make sense. Yeah. And then they're like, all right, man, now just go have fun with it. I'm like, well, it's gone now.
Yeah, totally.
So if you want the like off the cuff crazy thing, like throw me in
Interesting.
first.
Do that first, then
And,
you can
yeah.
kind of dial it back. Yeah.
So I think these are some things that, like, you know, if we're circling back to like how many tracks I did last year, which I don't recommend once again to anybody. But once you learn these little things that expedite the process easier, it's not like every single song I worked on took me 6 hours. It's like a lot of this stuff I work with the same producers, and we have established a language and a workflow to where I know what they want and I can do it in, you know, 30 minutes and then move on to the next song. And that's not me rushing through it. You know, that's another thing I'd say is like, definitely like volume is not the goal with recording, you know, like I just so happen to have like a very busy year and that's awesome. But like, that's not the goal, I don't think. For me, it's
quality
like,
over quantity.
Yeah,
but if you can have both, great.
Yeah,
you know?
and, you know, and it's like, you know, I think last
yeah.
year I just kind of wanted to see how far I could take it or whatever. But
Yeah.
But to me, it's a lot more important to make sure that people are stoked with what they're getting from you instead of, you know, like, all right, I gave you one take and that's all you're getting. It's like, if someone works, maybe this is too much, but like if someone works on a track with me remote, I'll send 6 or 7 takes because I don't know how to edit or time align. I know how to like comp stuff, but I always just assume that like someone's going to get this and they have to be able to make whatever sounds good from the raw material. So I'm not going to send one take and be like, yeah, well, I kind of dragged that one fill, which I'm so aware of myself, which is not fun. But I will like, well, I'll do another take just to make sure that fill's good because if they're going to listen with a critical ear, I don't want them to have to grid it. Now, you can grid stylistically or whatever, and no one's perfect, but I want there to be a comp in there that has everything that I would want to hear if I was producing it.
Yeah.
So that can mean, you know, it's not like I did a ton of songs and also just like did one take for all of them. It's like most songs are like on average 4 to 7 takes. So it's like that's.
Well, I was going to ask with regards to fills, do you ever comp in like here's some crazier fills like and just give them fills for them to kind of?
I've done that for a couple people.
Do a full take with that.
Some people will say just play some fills out in open air in the back, which I don't necessarily love doing. Yeah. Because it feels unnatural as a drummer, but I think that can work. Mm-hmm. So I will do that for people sometimes, but
they ask for it. Yeah.
It just depends. It's like if I'm in Logic, it's a lot easier for someone to get a session from me because they can see the end of the session where I play the crazy weird fill like 7 times as opposed to like bouncing out just a dead file with one fill in it, which I'll do for people. Right. But yeah, so I will punch stuff, but it's fun to do a full performance. But yeah, it's, you know, it just kind of depends on what the song is or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Well, as you said, I mean, it sounds like efficiency is obviously the name of the game.
Yes, for sure. But also, like, you can't be in your studio and you can't like go to Nelson and buy a new kit, and you can't be sitting there and going, man, let's just EQ the kick like in post. Like, we should probably get something boomier, but I'm always like, if I have all the drums, if I have 25 snare drums or whatever, I should count. But if I have all these drums,
I want to count. I want to know.
I'll count. Maybe I actually have 500 snares. It's probably 20. I don't know.
Whatever number over you have, you can split it between us. We'll take the rest.
Okay, yeah. Honestly, yeah. I have this crazy D drum from Nelson that I bought as a joke that I still have. It's pretty sick, guys. It's just like a blue wrapped D drum. Oh yeah, the white hardware.
He's buying drums as jokes.
Let's go.
That's awesome.
Well, it was. Yeah, I've used it on a couple things. But, what was I saying? But yeah, like you can't have. You know, you can't be sitting by your kit and have your rack of 6 snares and not be willing to go, all right, let's try a different snare, or like, let's change the mic out. Like if you have to, if I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to change anything because I just have too much stuff going on. It's like, you've lost the plot. Like it's not always fun to be 3 songs into like a session and have to move the kick drum and move the mics and stuff. But I think that's kind of like my litmus test of like, if I'm getting burnt out, I'm like, am I willing to change the kick out or whatever, you know? And like, I think that's a good thing to be aware of. You know?
Yeah. I was going to ask quick on that.
Yeah.
Give me, if you can recall like a sort of a session nightmare or fail or something that happened where you're like, well, shit, I'm never doing that again.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Session nightmare or fail. Like playing wise fail?
Anything. Or, you know, it could be like your 5 takes in and you realize the mics were in a bad position.
I mean, here's a good one. It's like you use outboard gear, which is like, it's awesome in a lot of regards, but like, okay, cool. Like I bought a 1178 because I found a good deal on one in Japan on this weird bidding website. So I get an 1178, which is a stereo. It's not really an 1176, but it's, you know, an old Uri compressor. They're expensive. I got a great deal on mine. put it in the rack. I'm using it on overheads, just barely compressing. It's not really doing much. And I'm like 6 takes into the song and one of the sides dies. And I'm not going to go, all right, well, I'll just do one more take and just take the compression off. I'm like, if they want to use the last take, it's going to change the mix.
Right.
So that can be something that can be frustrating. It's like, that, or like you grouped your tracks wrong. So you're at the end of the session and you're trying to bounce stems out to people, but the playlists don't line up. Like that's a hard one. I'm trying to think of like nightmares though. Like,
I mean, those are good examples.
Yeah,
Again, it goes back to just being as prepped. Some of that stuff you want to do ahead of time, like setting up the template and the mics and the drums. And
I think the biggest nightmare is getting into a room where you don't have what it takes to do a good job, and you're like, I just need to get through this. Which goes back to the whole like, it's better to advertise or put out the thing that you're good at, because you're never gonna like get called. Like no one's gonna call me for like metalcore session. Like I don't play kick. I don't play double kick. I can actually have a good story. I played on a metal record once, and it was at Sonic Ranch, and it was.
Where's that?
It's in Texas. It's in Tornillo, Texas. So it's like an hour kind of southeast of El Paso. And it's on a pecan farm right on the border. And I got hired by my friend Eddie, who's an amazing producer, and like a lot of my first big projects were with him. And he was like, "Hey man, I'm doing this metal record. I'm working with this country artist Cody Jinks, who is doing a country record with his live band. But on the side, in between, like he's going to be there for a while. He has these metal songs that he's written. He wants to bring in a separate metal band to work on these metal songs.
That's sick.
He's like, can you play double kick?" And I was like, honestly, like not great. This was in like 2021. So I'm like, I need money. I want gigs. I was like, man, when's the session? He's like, it's in like 2 months. And I was like, what speed are we talking? He's like, man, like maximum is like Pantera. It's like, it's like groove metal. It's not like,
Yeah.
So I bought a Iron Cobra, or like the Speed Cobra pedal, and I'm practicing, and I practiced so much for this thing. And I got there, and it's the bass player's name's Calvin Knowles, and we've worked together a bunch, but he knows metal. And then the guitar player's name's Jake Lettner. I might be saying his last name wrong, but like the most insane, like shred guitar player, craziest chops and pocket. And they're both set up. They're already nerding out about stuff. We're setting up in Big Blue, which is this studio out at Sonic Ranch. And they're immediately both just like they're not playing groove metal. They're playing like thrash. Like, and I'm sitting there being like, okay, if this is what the record sounds like
fucked.
I'm in trouble.
And it's not like, oh, like I'm gonna lose out on the gig. I'm like, they flew me out. Like we all got COVID tested to be here.
Yeah. Like
it's just, there's a lot of variables back then to like do something. I was like, I feel so terrible. Like my stomach sank, because I was like, I wouldn't have even pitched myself as being able to do this. We're like getting sounds, and I like there's for some reason there's a Mega Bell ride there. I'm playing on an old radio. This is the most hilarious thing is Eddie picked drums out at Blackbird, and he picked a Radio King that apparently was Matt Chamberlain. So they put, they put black dot heads on a Radio King. So it's not even like a metal kit, but it sounded awesome. But it's like that, and then like a bronze, like a copper phonic that's cranked, and like a Mega Bell ride. And I'm trying to get sounds for this, but I'm like, I'm literally like, oh, and the whole record is no click to Pro Tools. There's no grid where there's going to be like 2 or 3 takes of each song, and that's it. So super high stress. But anyways, long story short, Cody comes in for the first song, and it's like, it's like groove. It's like slow, and it's basically just rock.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be okay. But the record is on the internet, and there is double kick. It's like, it's not super fast, but there's some double stuff. There's some like triplet.
I want to hear that.
The album's called Canned by Nod. It's an interesting name. It's like an anagram of like him and a high school buddy that wrote the songs together. But it's a metal album that I played on. But so that was almost a fail, but luckily, I made it through. But
well, that's a good point. Is like, I think what you're also kind of getting at is like, stay in your lane, know what gigs you should be saying yes to, and like why people, know you to hire you for that specific thing.
Because it's like, I wouldn't wish that feeling on anybody to be like, oh, well, I finally got a gig. I'm so excited about this. And then you're like, oh my gosh, this is so stressful. Yeah. Now, a little bit of that actually makes you better. It makes you more resilient. You get better at being in these situations where you're a little bit out of your comfort zone, but you grow. But once again, it's like you don't want to be so far out of that to where like it doesn't work out.
Right.
But you got to take risks.
No, I would say that same thing applies to a live drummer, right?
Absolutely.
I think a little bit less of a degree. Like it's, you can get away with it more. There's less pressure to maybe fill in on a gig that's not super in your comfort zone. But like if you're going to take a recording session where it's like I would never do a metal gig.
Right.
Could I maybe pull it off? Sure. But like, I'm not the guy for that.
Right. And it's okay. Yeah. Like, the sad thing we realize as we get older is like you don't have enough time to do everything on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And you don't even have enough time to master the one thing that you do the most. Yeah. We just don't have enough time. Yeah. So it's better to like, divide and conquer, I guess, or whatever people say. It's like instead of like I'm going to do every single thing I'm just going to learn all of it. It's like I've given up on my, I don't think I'm ever going to move to New York City and, play at Smalls every night and be like a super in-demand jazz drummer. And that's not saying I could if I really wanted to and I wanted to practice. Maybe that's something that I could have done. That's not like a selling yourself short thing, but it's more about like you have limited energy, and instead of being completely like, overwhelmed by the possibilities and like how many things you could do, it's like, well, what can I do good at that allows me to like work on stuff and be a part of something. I think
things that I'm really stoked about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of moving to New York and playing at Smalls, I want to hear about your time studying and playing free jazz in college, and I specifically want to know what skills do you think you developed doing that you're still using and that are relevant, because I know there is a. I've even joked about this subject here with some people. There's like don't tell them you studied jazz
for sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I moved to town. And so I went to Berklee College of Music, which, it's a school that it's obviously very popular for its thing. And there's a lot of pros to it and there's a lot of cons to it. And there's also like a name association.
Sure is. Yeah.
So I had previous college experience both in high school and I did a year at University of Denver. So I had a ton of transfer credits and stuff. So when I went to Berklee, I was only there for 2 years. So I graduated a lot sooner than a lot of my peers.
What years were you there?
I was there, I think 2015 and 2017. So I did that. And then when I moved to Nashville, I didn't tell anybody where I went to school. If someone said, hey, where'd you go to, like you went to college? I was like, yeah, I went to the University of Denver, or I went to Clark College, which is a community college in Vancouver. Not like, obviously if someone like really asked me, I wouldn't like lie to people, but I did not advertise Berklee College of Music. Not that Berklee's bad, but I just didn't want that association.
I've heard that from so many Berklee grads, or they would say, I went to school in Boston.
I wouldn't even say that.
Are you talking about Berklee?
Yeah. And I'm so grateful for my time there. And I learned so much. It was insane. But
school.
I remember moving here and in the first 6 months of being in Nashville, the way I was making money was just playing local gigs at like the East Room or 5 Spot for like, hey man, you want $70? We're going to do 2 rehearsals and we can pay you $75 for the show. And just stacking up as many of those random local gigs. And you go to college and you spend an entire semester learning one set list for like a jazz recital. And you spend all semester like studying these like 6 songs or whatever. And then you go move to a music town and you realize like, I'm going to play 10 shows a week of original music a week. And you're like, oh, like the pace that I thought I needed, or like the focus on like my jazz independence or whatever, like that stuff's all great, but that's done. Like we're now focusing on learning people's sets and like starting the career part.
Yeah.
But to your question about the free jazz stuff, I think like a good like example, like because free jazz I think is like a kind of like a interesting, like that could be a lot of different things. Like I guess free jazz, maybe it's more like the Paul Motion Trio or like the Bad Plus or like stuff like that. That's like it's not necessarily like maybe you call it like I don't know, like improvised acoustic music. But a lot of it did get pretty artsy and But I think a lot of the stuff I learned from that kind of stuff was like textures and dynamics and feel. And there's a huge amount of parallels of okay, we're going to play this jazz standard that you've been playing since you were in middle school, but we're now going to completely remove the thing that you were most worried about or you think about the most as a drummer, which is time. Like, and that's such a powerful exercise for people because we spend so much time and have so much baggage of, all right, you're playing this song. Like, all all right, there's a click and there's tracks. Like, are you ahead of the beat? Are you behind the beat?
Yeah.
How's your time feel? Are you like, what's your micro time? Like, people have all these words and things about pocket and stuff. And it's like, all right, you're going to play all the things you are. There's no time. You're going to play like the song and there's melody and there's rhythm, but it's not attached to this grid. It's like, it's almost like, I don't know. It's like a weird, like, it's a complete, like, it reframes your entire thinking of, well, I'm a drummer though. I keep time. Like I'm the guy in the band that like keeps everybody together. And like, you have this whiplash moment of like, is the band director going to tell me I rushed or dragged? Like that's all I ever thought about.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, are you still a drummer if there's no tempo?
Well, that's such a good question.
And it's like, well, what else do you have? It's like, well, I have this crazy palette. I have this instrument that makes the lowest pitch and the highest pitch out of any ensemble pretty much. Yeah. And I have sticks and brushes and I have this whole palette. Like, what does my instrument mean if not keeping time? What else do I have? And I think that really helped me think of the instrument in a different way. You know, and
that's so cool. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. There's no time. So I can't just sit here and like play the swing beat or whatever.
Right.
I'm listening. Like, what's the bass player doing? Is like this thing happening? It really like perks your ears up to listening in an ensemble and like just all these skills that you wouldn't get if you were just like thinking about how fast you or slow you're playing or if you're rushing or dragging the whole time.
Yeah.
So for me, it helped develop a lot of those skills. And, you know, yeah, I guess that's the main thing is like maybe separating yourself from like the thing you care about most as a drummer, which is being a timekeeper, I guess, if that makes sense. But
it does.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a great
great,
answer to that
yeah,
question.
so if you want recording gigs, you need to play free jazz. That's another bumper.
Hey, that's
I love. Thank you so much. You're just giving us all these like. You're like, here is the clip, and here's this. Here it is.
If you want to be a recording drummer, you need to stop playing on the click. Just completely abandon it, man.
I love. He's changing his face and everything. He's got
like, listen, guys. Here's my 3 tips.
I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this in the comments, but don't buy DW thrones. So.
Don't buy DW thrones and turn your click
I want to go back
on.
to kind of what we were talking also about identity, because you've done these cool like Splice like loop. Packs
totally.
In more of like a shoegaze like indie.
Yes,
You've kind of dived into like that genre, right?
Right.
So talk to us about that project and the motivation behind that.
Totally. I think the Splice thing was interesting because there was kind of a need in like the loop community of like. There's so many drum loops that are like drummer loops that are super cool as drummers, but I had so many songwriter friends being like, dude, there's nothing that I can just like, there's no country loops on Splice that I can just use. So the whole idea with that was like, well, I should partner with them and try to make stuff that's like a little bit more just usable in a song that you can just drag in and like, or write a song to that's, you know, just a little bit simpler.
For the everyday like singer-songwriter.
Totally. Yeah. So that was kind of the idea with that stuff. And then I think at the time there wasn't really like a huge presence of country specific drum loops on Splice. So that was fun to do that. And I think it got a lot of use. And for me, it was like, you know, I think I was able to meet a lot of different producers because they might have used my Splice pack for something. And then we're like, who made this pack? And the nice thing about the Splice thing is I was specifically like, I'd love for my name to be on it because if I don't make any money or whatever, not that it's all about money, but you are licensing something to a company that now the whole world has access to it. So you are saturating, you're maybe like watering down your presence a little bit doing stuff like that, which is an opportunity cost to a certain degree. But I was like, well, if I can put my name on it, if it does really well,
it's going to come back to you.
At least I will get to make connections with people. And if people want to work with me, they have an idea of what kind of thing I do. So that to me was super valuable, is just meeting more people. Yeah. I think that's a big reason why I was so busy last year and this year is because I think that was kind of like a really big net to cast for people to kind of become aware about stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like now, like, do you think these sample packs, I feel like everyone's got a sample pack now. That's like become the cool thing to do if you're a session drummer in Nashville. It's like, here's my pack.
I encourage everybody,
cool, I mean,
even if you're like, oh man, I don't think I have good gear, or my room isn't super treated, or you know, I don't have any expensive mics or whatever. I think everybody should do it because it's not like one person makes a sample pack and it's done. And it's like, all right, cool. It's like people want, the beauty of recording music is everybody has a different flavor. And I think that's valid. And sometimes people want to work on stuff from something that like their friend made it or whatever, you know? And I think I would encourage anybody, like just start small, make a pack with like 5 tempos and do like 10 loops per tempo and learn how to edit it yourself, because you'll learn a lot about editing
Good
and
practice, right?
mixing stuff, and do one shots and have it for sale for $10. You know, I'm not saying like, the thing is, you're not undercutting a competition, because it's just, you're creating like, here's like a little taste of something that I would do. And you can make a little video about it and it's fun. Or, you know, what I did originally when I made packs is I just made a pack and I sent it to producers that I had written with or I knew prior. And I was like, hey, like, here's kind of some tones I'm working on. If you want to use any of this stuff, like, I'm sending this to people for free just because I think you're cool. And I think that was a good way for me to kind of establish some relationships with people. It's like, it's almost like a business card of like, here's a free sampler of like the tones I'm working on. And that might make you more money. Not that it's about money, but that might have a way better return on investment than being like, all right, I just spent a week working on this sample pack and I hated editing it. And now I'm going to sell it for $50 and no one buys it. And now you've created this negative feedback loop of working on something and you're frustrated about it, you know? So
sometimes you have to give something away.
Yes.
In order to, you can get something else back.
Yes.
In a roundabout way. It's weird.
That is the music industry in a nutshell, though.
Yes.
That is, and you have to be careful not to give it all away.
Yes.
And it's a lot of it's not even just your time, it's your soul, it's your energy. It's, you know, we are artists. We have, even as, you know, sidemen or whatever, it's like we all are in here because we're creative to a certain degree. So it's like you have to give something away. And it's like, all right, how much percentage do I have? You know? But you're so right about that. It's like sometimes that's a way better way of thinking about it. Yeah. And like, what can I get from people? Is it going to make me money if I make a sample pack? Like, is it worth it? And it's like, that's not what you should be thinking about. It's like, well, what do I have that people might actually like to use? And, you know, if it's like almost like just like being an optimist about it, I think is helpful.
The opportunity.
For sure.
For the young drummers listening, I mean, Nate and I know what you're talking about, but when you say sample pack, kind of go into like, what is a sample pack? What is a one shot? What is sort of like best practices for creating a sample pack?
Yes. I think, so like a sample pack or a loop pack, there are two different things. Like a sample pack is ideally like one shot. So like I'm a producer and I have my drum machine and I've loaded in a kick sample, a snare sample, whatever. It's just one shots. But a one shot could be like me opening a can or whatever, you know, and you could maybe put that in your
just like any
sample pack.
Any singular sound.
Yes, any singular sound or a combination of sounds, you know, if maybe it's like a hi-hat and a snare being hit at the same time. It's just any one single note played.
You just opened up Nate's brain.
I just had an idea. But I'm gonna keep it to myself. I don't need to totally derail things.
It's a sample pack and it's all just kicks and snares being hit at the same time. It's called the least usable drum pack of all time. And it's all just like, it's like empty crashes with like a hi-hat being played at the same time.
5 drums hit. Here's all the toms together.
Here's me dropping all 20 of my snares onto my concrete floor.
Here's me Here's me trying to imitate that scream from the Macarena. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
At the end of every phrase, hey, Macarena. There's like the scream in the background.
That could be a one-shot pack.
Yeah, totally.
But with
good example.
Yes. So that's a one shot. And then a loop or a sample, I guess like a loop pack would be more like you're performing stuff. And I think if you're thinking about doing something, I think you do both, because a lot of people can just hit drums singularly and make samples, but your identity is kind of your relationship between your limbs and your space.
Like, here's your groove.
Yeah. Right? And it's, you know, it's like, it's the combination of yourself as a player. Yeah. And that's what a loop is, I guess.
Any groove that you... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'll say it again.
Yeah, I'll say it again. Any groove that you would just play that's like, it's a statement you're making.
For sure.
That's how I feel about it. Like, well, you sit down and play a thing, like, well, I play it because I like it.
Totally.
So, and let me just record that.
And everybody can do the simplest beat. And everybody's going to record it differently. Yep. Different space. Everybody has you're using different sticks. You're holding it different places. Your mic placement's different. So it's never going to be an oversaturated world, I don't think, because you're always going to have your own flavor to it, I think.
Yeah. And I was going to ask, are you also doing different dynamics, especially with the one shots?
Yes. I generally do like 3. I mainly do loop packs. Mm-hmm. I try to... Not that I won't do single shots, but the single thing, I'd rather have someone make something that's like, oh, that's like a drummer playing versus, oh, that's my favorite snare drum that like I love playing on records. And anybody can just sample replace their drums with
Yes.
it. To me, if you were not worried, but if you wanted to like maybe preserve a little bit of like the sauce of what you do, I'd say leaning into the loops is a better way of making sure that your identity is there rather than like, here's like that snare that Aksel uses the most, and now I can just put it on every single production of mine.
Right.
So I'd say like in the world of it, it's probably better to do more loop packs because you're really focusing on your feel and your overall
Makes sense.
tones and stuff.
So you're doing single one shots. You're doing grooves. What about? Do you ever do fills in these packs?
Yes, yeah, I'll do fills, and yeah, it's like maybe there's like 3 fills per tempo. So ideally, when I first started making packs and I didn't know what I was doing, the idea was that it was like, this isn't just a drum loop that just exists outside of time and space. It's like if you were writing a song, specifically in Nashville or any place where there's a writer room happening, like the person on the laptop can pull up this, you know, this package of, all right, we're at 90 BPM and here's the verse groove, but this feels like a chorus and this feels like the bridge, and there's fills that can connect them. And then there's also, this is a good thing, it's like maybe called a topper or something, like here's the same groove, but there's no kick in it. So maybe you're layering that on top of a different programmed drum part, but now you have this hi-hat and snare relationship happening on top of it.
Yeah.
There's just different levels of options and stuff that you can give people.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I found that people will use loops either on Splice or they'll use stuff that they bought from me personally or whatever, and they'll use it in their song and they're like, wow, like this has been really awesome, but it's so close to being a finished idea, but I think we want you to now play this again because there's just, it feels really real and human, but like we're missing a couple fills and we kind of just want to see if there's just a tiny bit more variation in it. So a lot of times, like I've found like a lot of tunes that I'll play on are loops that I played. Like I'll be in a session and I'm like listening and I'm like, I think this is my drum loop.
That's like, that should give you so much gratification. It's like, well, that's why I did it. It's like, here's the free trial of my playing. If you like it, if you really want the full thing, like, I'm available,
like,
you know. Here's the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So
And sometimes it works. Or sometimes they use the loop and it comes out and you didn't play on the song and you're an unknown drummer that played I'm sure there's so much stuff now that's just out on the internet that just
has your loops.
and I'll never know. And it doesn't, and that's the whole thing is like that's giving away without expecting something in return.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure about this, but I'm pretty sure that like Choosin Texas, that really big Ella Langley song, I think if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure that was my loop that was on the demo. And I don't know if that's why I got hired.
I was going to ask if that's you.
That's but in this session when we were tracking, I think that they wrote it with that loop. So that's like a good example of being like, oh, I'm so glad like this worked to create this vibe. And now like I'm here tracking on the song and like replacing this loop. Like this is awesome. Like there are instances where like that kind of became a part of the sonic identity. And then I got to like be a part of it in the flesh, you know? So that can be really, really cool. Yes, for sure.
That's so cool.
It'd be hilarious if it wasn't, but I'm like 99% sure. But in my brain, I'm like, wait, no, it's not. You didn't do that. But I'm pretty sure.
We can ask. Well, we're getting Howie on here soon.
Yeah.
We're tight with Alec Parrish, of course, is now drum tech and doing playback.
Oh, sweet. Yeah,
super cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You see that?
No.
That's his new gig.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Are you tight with Jake Reed? You know Jake?
We've never. I think we talked online a little bit. And stuff,
I'm just thinking of other guys that
I feel like he's crushed the sample pack.
He's got like the super dead drums pack that we've all probably heard and seen.
And like every time I open my phone, it's like the ad, and I'm like this must like be killing it because you put ads in it and everybody sees
there's
it.
money behind. Yeah, right.
It's like
well, getting back to like he's very clearly defined his identity and like
yes, for sure.
I think he has other packs that are not super dead drums,
right?
Now it's like if I want that sound, I'm gonna go to him.
Yeah, totally. And it's a really well packaged and professional version of that thing that you could be like, oh well, I mean, the Beatles did dead drums in the '60s. Why does anybody need to do it again? And it's like that's a really good example of everybody can have their own special take on something that you could be like, oh yeah, like people have been doing dead drums forever. Why do you need to make a sample pack about it? But
oh, that's crazy. Would you say that we have enough Beatles songs?
Right.
Well, like you wouldn't want to hear something else that reminded you of that?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a good way to put it. So it's like I just think in general, it's like there's the more the merrier. It's like let's all make stuff, and I think it's amazing.
I like that. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
There's a lot of songs being put out every day, so
it's like, back to the high tides raises all ships kind of idea.
For sure.
You have all these sample packs and they're all going to get used at some point, maybe.
Totally. And even just like with drummers and stuff, I'm like, every drummer, it's such a physical instrument. Like everybody has their own thing. Like I truly believe that. And I don't think there's like, oh, well, that's one thing about the recording industry that's interesting is like, it seems like there's like a select group of people that work on a lot of the stuff. And I think part of that's just due to the nature of the thing. But I'm like, I just think there's so much recording that happens in people's houses now and studios that aren't commercial studios. And I just think like, if you're recording a drum set and you're catching the air around it and you're putting the drums in the computer or whatever, like it's not another programmed thing. It's not, it's not a Suno demo. It's like, we're all doing this really amazing thing. And recording a drum set is such a crazy, complicated, like phase relationship in the room. It's like everybody should do it, I think,
Yeah.
So everybody get a setup and start recording.
That's good advice for just a young drummer. You would say just start, just get some
I'd
cheap
say
mics,
even if you're like, dude, playing sessions, because I think I always thought like, oh, playing sessions, like that's what everybody wants to do. And there's a lot of people that like playing live more. And I'd say even if you're like, man, I want to move to Nashville or LA or whatever, and I want to get a big gig and I love the energy of playing live, I would still say record yourself because you're going to learn so much about your playing under that microscope, even if you play live.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think it's always worth it.
Yeah, we've talked to so many drummers that are maybe on a touring gig, but they come home and they record now, and they've been able to take different skills from both and
for sure
improve both attributes, both skill sets.
Yeah, I mean it can be also brutal to always record yourself and be like, I'm so aware of my flaws.
Yeah,
but that's how you get better. It's like the gym,
Yeah.
It's like,
what do you consider your flaws?
Ooh, good question. I think. And this would be, I would spin that around and say, I don't know if any of them, not to be like woo-woo about it, but I don't know if any of them are flaws necessarily, not just for me, but for anybody. It's just tendencies of certain things that you would do that maybe wouldn't achieve the result you'd want in the world that you're being hired in. So for me, I would say like, I noticed like there's certain times, like I think any drummer can feel this way, like there's certain times when if I change a pattern, I might lean back on certain things, or I might lean forward on certain things, depending on, and that could be like, oh, well, that's bad. You're a bad session drummer because you played a fill and you dragged, as you went from the snare to the toms to the floor tom, the literal tension of the drum head rebounds at different rates. So when you go da-ga, 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 you literally slow down because the tension of the drum heads rebounds slower, and therefore like that's a pretty natural thing, but technically that's bad. And it's like, well, if you're playing live, not on a click, that chorus would hit so hard because there's just a little bit of anticipation.
Exactly.
So I think that's an important thing is don't frame everything as like, I suck or whatever, which, I think we all know how we suck in certain ways and it's true. But I mean, if you really break it down, it's like, well, why don't I like that about my playing? And it's like, well, I live in the world where I'm recording to a click. And there's a bunch of programmed material and I need to actually line up with the grid. Therefore, that natural tendency that isn't bad or good isn't helpful within the realm of what I'm being hired for, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And it's a good way of sidestepping the negative self-talk.
Yes.
Which I'm not great at always, and I also picked a career where being super like vigilant and self-critical actually makes you better.
Yep.
So like that worked for me because I am actually like pretty hard on myself as a player and stuff. But in the recording world, being willing to like kind of beat yourself up does make you better in that way.
You want to be, you have to be. Yeah.
You do, but I think it's also good to like recognize like, I think there's a lot of stuff like that you could, you could reframe it in a way to where you could, the face value thing could be like, yeah, well, I rushed or I dragged or whatever, or like I did this thing wrong. But if you really think about it, there's a natural explanation to why you feel that or that thing happens. That's not good or bad. It's just like, it's just explainable, I guess, if that makes sense.
Would you say you're a perfectionist when it comes to recording?
I mean, I don't think I'm a perfectionist because I think the nature of recording drums is you don't actually want it to sound perfect. And I'm lucky that I feel like when people hire me, they're not actually looking for perfect because, and this is not like negative self-talk, but like, I don't think I'm the most like I said, it's like, I feel like I have a certain swing to certain things I play. And like, I'm definitely accurate and I can play to a click really good and stuff, but I don't think that's my strong suit. And I feel like people, I can only, I'm maybe trying to project what I think people think of me, but I think generally like I'm not getting hired to like sound like a robot.
Right.
So
No.
Dude, I'll just say I love your feel. I've gotten to see you play live.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think maybe just once. Where was that? The East Room.
Oh,
Remember
yes.
that?
Yeah, I love that place.
Which, yeah,
also, the best floral wrap on a kit.
Dude, 100%.
It's like a Mapex Mars. I love that. I love those kits. They're awesome.
Yeah, and I love playing there. Yeah.
But yeah, I think, it's like, what was the original question we're talking
just
about?
Perfectionism, weaknesses you were asking about.
I think like realistic perfectionism and pushing yourself and being willing to be you're not rewarded for being like, oh, that's good enough. Like you definitely want to be a perfectionist, but also to a certain degree, you have to let that stop and say, someone wants a live, like real drummer to play on this, and it's not going to sound like it's programmed.
Yeah.
And I've had stuff, it doesn't happen all the time, and I feel like people hire me for stuff that generally I can achieve very well, but I think maybe there's like been 2 tracks in my life where someone hit me up to do a track and I listened to it, and it was such like, early 2000s, like huge, like Nickelback sounding drums, and they're like ultra programmed and smashed and huge sounding. And I was just like, I can try to do this, but I'm not the best at that.
Yeah, I might not be your guy for this.
I think you're going to probably be disappointed, and like, I can try to do it, but like, I just think there's so many other people that can do a better job of that, or literally know how to use Steven Slate trigger and will trigger drums over there and make it sound like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just not going to do that today because that's just not my bag.
Right.
So I think like it's good to
that's
kind
valuable. Know your bag.
Yeah, know your bag, and not like, now they're like, no, I really want you to try. Then it's like, all right, well, I'll try, and now I'm going to learn.
Sure.
Yeah.
And and that's awesome, and that's something I would love to keep getting better at all aspects of it. But it's good to save people time and also save your energy of like, okay, am I going to like grid every take today, even though I don't really know how to grid stuff? And am I going to like download Steven Slate trigger and like get some huge sounding samples? And like, am I going to do this today? Or am I just going to work on a different track that someone like just wants me to do something that's like a little bit more in my wheelhouse?
Right.
Not saying I'm not going to play some big rock drums. Like I love doing that, and I get to do that a lot. But I'm like, there's certain times where you're like, oh, like this is maybe a little bit outside of the like realm of possibilities of what would make sense with my time, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah.
Something unrelated I wanted to ask about, because I've been seeing, and I'm not super into the session world. It's something I want to get into more for sure. But like, I've definitely seen some professionals do, like record, let's say just the kick and snare of a groove and not the hi-hat, or like record things separately. Is that something that you do? And why do people do that?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think if someone hit me up and said, hey, we want a drum sound that sounds almost sampled, we want this larger than life sound, a lot of times what you're doing is you're compressing a lot. So you hit a drum, like a snare drum's, its decay is about this long. Kick drums maybe longer. It just depends on how you have it tuned. But a cymbal is all high end and it just goes. So a lot of times I think like a good happy medium, if someone was asking me to go for like a bigger rock sound, what I would start with is, well, let's sacrifice playing cymbals as part of the take. And then that way you can compress the drums and make them feel a little bit bigger without having to use samples.
I see.
So
it makes a lot of sense.
Now, overdubbing hi-hats would just be a feel thing to me. Because I think as a drummer, part of your whole deal is like playing this. You're playing, the drum set is a collection of instruments. It's not a piano.
It's not an instrument. It's a bunch of them.
It's a bunch of instruments. You got some metal circles.
Hey, fun fact, a piano is a percussive instrument.
True. Hey, we count piano players. But yeah, so I think like playing hi-hat separately, you might be able to achieve, you are almost changing the dynamic or the relationship of your limbs by doing something separately.
I see.
I don't feel like that happens less usually, but
so it's just another intentional choice for a specific.
For sure.
Yeah.
And something that's like a really cool effect of like, well, we want it to kind of sound like a drummer, but like if we overdub hi-hats separately, it's going to have a different feel, and it's something that you can experiment with, I guess, which is fun.
But you can do outrageous things that would be either air quoting impossible or whatever, very, very challenging to do, like even just on a dynamic level.
Yes.
Very, very, very challenging to do.
For sure.
But if you're doing it one instrument at a time, it's child's play.
Yeah, totally. And you might be opening yourself up to a different sonic palette.
Yes.
And that sometimes, as much as I'd love every drum recording I do to be like, man, we used Glyn Johns as the overheads and a kick mic, and it's just like we push the pre's and it just sounds so natural. There's some times where it makes sense to build a different sound, and maybe you sacrifice a little bit of the like, this is all one take and it's super loose. It's like sometimes the sound is maybe more important than the drum part. And I think that's a big thing is like there's a lot of amazing recordings where the drums on the record are the producer playing, and they're maybe not a full-time drummer, but they might make a better part because they're like, well, I know what the vision of what I want. It's less about like, oh, what drum part are you going to play? It's more like, and I'll ask people this on sessions that have a demo part that sounds good, or they have a song that's beautiful that doesn't have drums yet. And I don't say like, what do you want me to play? I say, what do you need drums to do to this song? I'm here and I'm playing on the song. What's missing, or what do you want to achieve by adding a drum set? Because we could sit here and clap our hands and you have a backbeat, and that's not a drum set, and you don't need me to do that. But so like what's the drum set going to provide in this?
Yeah, I love that. It's a subtle mentality change. But yeah, you would never ask the artist like, oh, what snare do you want? But you'd ask them, what sound do you want?
Yes.
And then you're going to make those intentional choices.
Yeah, and that's one of those skills that's not a drummer skill necessarily. Like, I don't think session drumming is always about like how good of a drummer you are. Sometimes it's like, how good are you at interpreting someone's vision, and how can you kind of funnel that into what you do? Because they're not a drummer. And sometimes you can be with an artist, and the really easy thing to do, especially if the longer you're in the game, you're going to keep getting older, but there's still going to be artists that just started writing songs and they're amazing, and they don't have as much experience as you do talking about music. And you can sit there and be like, oh, they don't even know what a hi-hat is. Like, this kid doesn't know how to describe something. Or you could be like, how do I get better at interpreting what someone that has an artistic vision, how can I get better at interpreting what that means? Instead of just being like frustrated that they don't like, do you want 8th notes or 16th notes on the hi-hat, man? Just tell me. And they're like, oh, what's a hi-hat? And like you're being kind of intimidating, and this is their first time in the studio, and now like they're shutting down, and
so much of it is interpersonal relationships,
totally, yeah,
and communication
it's like
skills, right?
Yes, so there's so many things that aren't drum set skills that matter, maybe more than playing the drum set. 100%. But you got to be ready to also like play well. So it's an interesting career.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Got to learn to communicate.
Yeah. And and there's like little like, you start picking up, especially with like the guys that have been doing it a long time. Like, I will watch them interpret something that I have no idea what it means. And an artist will say something and I'm like, what does that mean? And then like someone's like, just play the ride cymbal in the bridge. I'm like, thank you.
Again, same, parallel.
Totally.
Back to like live drummers. It's the same thing, right? It's like, some of those guys are not the best drummers, but they get the job done. But they're a good hang. Obviously, we talk about a lot. They can interpret what the MD wants, what the artist wants.
Absolutely,
that's so important. Right?
Yes, yeah. And that's it's not. We're working in the arts, so it's not all about just who's the best at the thing.
Yeah, it's a people business.
Yeah. We're not just like, it's not just like, I don't know, like what a different. Yeah, it's not just like a business where you're just making money and whoever makes the most money wins. It's not like, it's not as tangible as that. There's a lot of swirliness about the job.
Right.
Totally. There are some objective measurements you can take, and almost none of them are the thing that's going to get you hired.
Exactly.
Like almost never. Like, those might be like,
that's tough sometimes.
Oh, it's very tough.
It's
we're so hard on this. Why aren't I on?
Yes.
Why aren't I on records?
And that's totally a fair thing. Like, the thing is like that makes it totally makes sense. I feel that way sometimes. I'm like, man, I'm like, a lot of it's just like luck multiplied by years applied and effort.
Yeah.
And it's
well, what do you know? The harder you work, the luckier you get. Yeah,
that's good.
True.
That's
yep. You gotta max out the luck stat in the video game of life.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, we're getting deep here. I love it.
How do you get the perfect Nashville kick drum tone? It starts with a lowboy leather daddy bass drum beater. This leather-faced beater occupies the sonic space between felt and wood beaters. It's punchy enough to cut through the mix on those 4-on-the-floor barn burners with the warmth you need for slow ballads. Okay, but who plays a leather daddy? Garrett Goodwin from Carrie Underwood's band uses one. Lee Bryce drummer Donnie Marple plays a pair. Walk down Broadway any night of the week and you're going to hear one. In Nashville, you can test drive a lowboy beater at Drumbox and grab one at Forks, Drum Supply, or Nelson's. Check out lowboybeaters.com to learn more.
Well, I mean, maybe to tie some of this together, I had written down like, we've kind of touched a little bit about like commercial studios versus the home studio world.
Yes.
The competition in Nashville, especially. I want to discuss that a little bit. And then the future of, you talked about Suno, like AI.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So I want to touch on like maybe all three of those topics.
All
if
at
you
once.
can. Yeah, all at once. There you
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Rapid fire. Well, I will say something that's beautiful about home recording is that sometimes you have more time to go down the rabbit hole of a tone than you would if you were in a studio tracking, especially if it's a tracking day where it's a full band. If there's a full band, I'm not going to sit there and be like, I'm not going to press the talk back and be like, what snare do you guys like? It's like the amount of this is another thing, if you want like an easy tip for session playing that I've learned that I could pass along that's, pretty foolproof, but just don't talk very much. I know right now we're talking a lot and like this is the
platform to talk. Yeah.
It's super easy and I'm like this. So I'm speaking this from experience and something that I've learned. It's easy to be eager because you want to do a really good job and you're stepping on the talk back and be like, hey, did you guys like what I did in the bridge? Did you like the snare drum? Is the snare drum right? Is it like, and you want to apply all this stuff because you care. And that's actually a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But imagine there's 5 different players. There's an artist, there's an engineer, there's an assistant. And now there's A&Rs in there and they have feedback and you're at Blackbird and time is every minute is a lot of money, and you're multiplying that by this many people. If every single session player on a session pressed the talk back after every take and asked the producer what they thought about what they did, the plot twist, the producer can't listen to every single thing. You're partially there because someone trusts you to just do the right thing.
Right.
And they're not going to police every single thing you do. So there's a lot of times when I have to just make a judgment call of, man, I think this snare has got to be the right thing. And we're going to get 4 takes on the song and move forward. And I just hope it is. And there's a risk. And
that's a risk.
You have to take the risk. Now, when you're at home, you might actually have the luxury of time to really dial in something that you like. And you might do 4 takes and send it to somebody and they go, man, the snare's like a little bit too long and I want to change the kick. And I also want to change this pattern. And you can actually curate the parts and the sound and the performance a lot more at home, which I think is really awesome. Not saying that you shouldn't have the ability to run and gun and do the live band cutting thing. I think that's a super important skill, but sometimes you can get a better sound at home because you have more time to really
you have that luxury to, if you're going to waste time, it's your own time, right? So
yeah, totally.
You get away with it.
So, and that's sometimes why I like having a producer come over because then there's still an enforced, like someone's here. Like I have to, I can't just like stop after the second verse and be like, I was rushing or whatever. It adds a little bit of the pressure. But
that's a good point. Yeah.
So that's home studio versus recording in studio. I think both are important.
How about just quick, like in terms of like specifically to Nashville? I mean, since you've been here, what, like 7 years?
Yeah, 7 or going on 8.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've even seen like some of these studios closing, which is obviously like pretty sad to see. But what are your thoughts on like the evolution of the home studio and not
to minimize studios closing because every time a cool room closes, you lose a room sound, you lose a history there, you lose a vibe, and that stinks. But I will say, like in Nashville, the amount of people that are building like legit like ADUs in their backyards with amazing gear, and they're engineering there and stuff. Like for every studio we're losing, we're also gaining stuff.
It's a good positive way to put it.
I think you could definitely be like, oh man, I remember back in the day you could go to Fletcher's and Donaldson and get pizza there. Now it's gone. And it's like that's like the legendary spot. But like you could be bummed out about that. But also but hey, there's also like new spaces, new places that are opening up and like
we're building our own legendary spots.
Yeah, totally. So you have to like have reverence for the old spots. And like Omni closing, for example, like that room was so awesome. Such a cool location, and whatever like Park Happy lot or whatever dumb things going there, like that crushes me.
Park Happy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I know. It's true.
No one's happy
truly.
about that.
Yeah. Hot take also, like just let me pay X amount of money to just have a one-time pass, just so I don't have to spend the time doing the thing.
You mean like, oh, here's my license plate.
It's not even the money. We're not complaining about the money. It's well, I don't want to go stop at a local business now because I'm going to have to get out my phone again.
Yes.
And I've been getting my phone out all day.
I'm so sick of having to get my phone out for fucking everything.
I don't want to get my phone out. And now I'm not going to go to the local coffee shop because I'm going to get a ticket if I go in there and I have to get my phone out. And it's, I think, I don't know if Lemuel has been on this, but I think he told me the phrase death by 1,000 cuts. It's not
he said that on our show.
Okay, yes. Well, I'm stealing that from him, but that's what it is. And I'm like, I just don't want to get my phone out. Yeah. Let me pay the Park Happy subscription for a year. Yeah. Whatever it is, like I will gladly just not ever worry about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But that being said, when a studio goes and there's a parking lot there, my blood boils.
Yeah.
But we have to look at the positives. Otherwise, I would hate living here because, or any city. Like I lived in Portland and I watched that city get gentrified and things change and stuff. And it's like you have to still appreciate the good things about stuff. So
yeah, and again, like look, the opportunity for all these younger drummers to be able to kind of start their careers in their backyard.
Yeah, it's
Like
amazing.
the barrier to entry is so much lower now.
Yes,
right,
for sure. I think that rising tide, it's that concept. Yeah. It's a lot better for everybody to be able to develop a skill rather than it'd be like if you wanted to be a fighter plane, jet pilot or whatever. You can't just go out and buy a jet plane and practice. So it's a little bit harder to get into that career. So there's less people that can do it. And, people are incredible, but it's like a very niche thing.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think back in the day, it used to be that someone needed to pay for a recording studio. And now you can set up your 2-input Scarlett and put a, like an Audio Technica above your kit and a kick mic, and you can start learning about phase relationships. And I think that's pretty awesome. So
going there.
Shout out to our lovely sponsor, Drumbox. The other day I just went to Drumbox, right?
Yeah.
Next to Nelson's. I brought this interface here, 4 inputs only, the stereo overhead, and then XY, and then kick snare.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. It's like
and you're getting better, and and you can make a crazy record. Like the records that were made on M boxes, which is like a very early, I think Avid,
exactly.
It's like, the gear is not the limitation. It's obviously good to invest in gear and get better, but it's pretty crazy that we can just record stuff everywhere.
Yeah,
pretty rad.
I want to ask a specific question that we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, and I think I know your answer, but I just want to have a definitive response
answer
from you
cool.
on this.
Definitive.
So recently, I was going back and forth with some drummer recording buddies, and a few of my other engineer friends, and basically, I was having a debate. Should I get a Scarlett Focusrite and start just getting some reps in, or should I save my money up for a while and get myself an Apollo? And
good question.
I want your full take on this.
Okay, full take. I will say, and this will apply not to those two things. And I can give my input on that specific thing. But what I'll say is, if you're wanting to record for a long time and you're willing to make the investment, I always vote for buy individual things that do one thing only. So I buy a converter, but it also has preamps and it comes with amp modeling sims and auto-tune as part of it. Like that's great, but the value of it that's within that box, you can't take the preamps out of an Apollo and sell those. So you can buy, Neves or whatever you want when you're ready to upgrade, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's a certain level where once you're really ready to step it up, I would almost say, well, what you should do is you should buy a Motu that's just line ins. And that box, all it does is talk to your computer and it converts line level signal to digital and then back out. And those are, pretty affordable. Like there's you're not going to blow the bank on something like that. And then start buying outboard preamps, because the combination of an outboard preamp, once you're ready to upgrade, maybe you buy cheaper preamps to start. But once you're ready to upgrade, you're not going, oh, well, I have this Apollo and now I spent money on this Apollo that has 8 preamps in it, but now I want to upgrade, but now I'm just not using the preamps that are in the Apollo.
Right.
So having a modular system, it can be very expensive to buy the top of the line of each thing, but I can buy, a converter by itself and I can get some cappies and I can get different flavors. And every time I want to change my preamps, I don't have to change the entire interface, if that makes sense.
It does.
So if you're ready to start and you need to do it, I'd say the thing that you can buy that has 8 inputs, mic pre's, that connects to a computer, that's great. That's awesome. That's totally worth it. I'd say once you're ready to step up from a Scarlett or something like that, I think you start looking at standalone converters and preamps, because you can buy a cool old Yamaha mixer with 12 preamps and a Motu 24i or whatever, and that's way cheaper than buying a Apollo that is going to just depreciate in value.
Right. Yeah.
That old Yamaha mixer, it's going to appreciate in value, and that's actually the financial investment's better. And now someone comes over to your studio and you have this cool mixer next to you with EQs, and you met a tech who modded it for direct outs, and now you've met a tech and you've learned more about stuff than just buying like, and I'm not saying Apollos are bad, I think they're great.
Yeah.
I used them for a long time, but you're losing a lot of the joy of recording by just having everything be in one rack space. And it does everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So does that answer the question?
That answers the question.
That's a great
beautifully.
answer, and hopefully you're now not regretting
I don't
your
regret
purchase.
I don't regret anything.
Well, the funny thing is, he already bought my old Scarlett.
Yeah,
but
they're
he
awesome.
was having that debate, and
Yeah.
and I was recommending.
And it was a heated debate.
Oh, it's for
I had several engineer friends just be like, "Don't get the Scarlett," and I'm like, a bunch of my friends who play drums for a living
Right.
and record drums for a living are saying the opposite thing to me.
I don't think there's a wrong or right answer, but to me, like buying an Apollo is like a couple grand, or you could buy a used Scarlett, start working on it, and now you're buying better mics that you're going to hear things better from that. And then now when you're ready to upgrade your interface, you didn't buy a bunch of mid-level mics that you now have to upgrade because you bought mid-level everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like your first car. You're not going to buy a Lambo. You get something.
Yeah,
that does the
that'd be
job,
sick
and then-
though.
It'll be sick though.
That'd be sick.
But to bring it back to what we were talking about earlier, it's interesting because in terms of like buying the high end stuff first, maybe.
Right.
But I think with audio, it's actually maybe not the case, is what I'm hearing.
Right.
You want to maybe kind of work your way.
depends.
It does
It
depend.
depends.
You don't want to be stuck. You could, as you said, buy something high end that's not
Right, yes.
modular, and then you're kind of stuck with this really cool piece of
Right.
gear. But then, you know,
Yeah.
when it's time to,
Well,
to
I think
advance
a
from that.
thing I'd say that maybe is like, I feel like I'm always giving bad or good analogies, but like if you were into cars, the price difference of like a budget vehicle, like a Kia or something, to the luxury of a Lamborghini or something, the price difference is so major. Mm-hmm. But if you are into coffee and you go get a K-cup versus a $6 pour over, you're getting probably a similar luxury spread for, a $4 difference. And within recording, the perceived difference between a cheap budget made in China tube condenser to a U47 is a very large gap. But the perceived luxury or quality difference between a cheap dynamic microphone and an expensive one is actually not that much. Mm-hmm. So I'd say, okay, well, if you're going to start investing in recording gear, you can actually buy the best dynamic microphone, the most vintage. It's probably like a original SM7, and those probably go for around $1,200, which you don't need to buy that. These are amazing. But there's certain areas where you can actually start getting things that you're going to keep your whole life for not that much money.
Yeah.
But if I wouldn't start with like, all right, what are your tube condenser overheads? It's like, save that one for later. That's the big spend. But you can go save up a bunch of money and buy a Coles 4038 or a Beyer M160, and that's going to be a mic you could keep your entire life, and you're never going to need to upgrade that. Mm-hmm. You might want something different, but there's certain things like that where the price difference is,
That's a great explanation of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That perceived value difference is really important.
Yes.
Yeah. That's sick.
And microphones are great because, as we were talking about with taxes, this has been my hack, which is not like a plot twist, but if you love recording and you love music and getting, gear and stuff, it's all write-offs. So if you buy something and you use it, it's inspirational to you and people that work with you. It's, something that you're learning. It's educational. You also use it for your job, and it's a tax write-off. And plot twist, you buy an old microphone, it always goes up in value. It's like a stock market. It's like I'm always like, just buy mics. Just buy as many mics, even though they're more expensive now. It's still a good deal. So
right, I feel like mics are always, even if you outgrow it, there's someone that's going to be before you that's going to buy that off you.
Totally, yeah.
It's never wasted.
Yeah, but like your interface, your Apollo or whatever, all in one thing, like that's a piece of tech that will depreciate probably forever.
Yeah,
because it's not doing one thing. So
good point.
So yeah, stocks. Stocks, man.
You've heard of Drum Supply, but you gotta see their shop. It's a drum shop experience like no other. They're packed with all the gear a working drummer needs, and so many parts, noise toys, and accessories. It's a toy store. Curated cymbals, kits, and snares. The hands-on percussion room is nuts, and their custom shop work is fast and affordable. Andy and the guys know their stuff, and they're ready to help. And the big news? They've just moved to an awesome new location near the corner of East Trinity Lane and Dickerson Pike. Still in East Nashville, just a couple miles from their old spot, the all-new drum supply is twice as big, featuring a dedicated cymbal room, a lesson space, and even more drum gear than ever. Go see the new drum supply shop for yourself. Now open 11 to 5 at 2211 Dickerson Pike and online at drumsupply.com.
Well, last thing that I had, at least on my list, before we do some, more closing questions, I think we'd be remiss to not mention the Springsteen movie.
Oh yeah, great.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you were not only recording some of those tracks, but you were actually in the movie.
Yep.
Incredible. Tell us about how that experience came up. What was that like?
I work with Dave Cobb from time to time, and he, obviously is an amazing producer, but he will also produce music for movies, and he asked me to record for it, and also, he just basically called me to do that, and he felt like
I'm not familiar with Dave. Is he Nashville? Or?
Dave Cobb is a Nashville producer, and he's worked on like a lot of Americana stuff. He also did, like Chris Stapleton. I mean, he's like one of the biggest producers in the world. So it's working with him is like an honor, and it's also like, holy crap, this guy's a legend, and also plays all the instruments really well. And so working with him is always like a treat, and also like a huge learning experience. But
that's amazing.
So he was doing like the production of the music for that stuff, and he also put together the band to be in it. So I had to like do an audition where I basically in my basement pretending to do the scene, which is hilarious. Like, you're like setting up this camera, you're just by yourself, and you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, like doing the whole drummer thing.
I haven't seen the movie. I want to. It's been on my list since it came out. Who were you portraying?
Bruce. Now, I don't remember the name, but there's a band that Bruce would basically, Bruce is from New Jersey, and he would go to Asbury Park, and even as a star, he would go back to this place called the Stone Pony where there's a couple bands that would play, and he would sit in and kind of get back to his roots. So the movie's about Nebraska, which is interesting. That was a record that I loved like in high school because I was researching different records that were made on 4-track because I was being a Portland hipster kid. And I was like, I didn't really know much about Bruce Springsteen or listen to him, but I was like, wait, Bruce Springsteen made like one of the first lo-fi records. So I listened to a bunch of Nebraska. So it was really interesting that the movie is basically about that time period.
Yeah, it's a very specific chunk, right?
So, so basically it's this band that is playing. And the interesting part was we recorded it all live at the Power Station in New York City. And I remember Dave specifically, when I was making the audition tape, I was being way too much of a session player. And he'd call me or voice message me and be like, hey man, I want you to get this part. These people aren't looking for you to play this well. They want your crazy energy.
It's a movie, yeah.
It's a movie. Yeah. And also you're recording for the movie. We don't want it to sound like a session player's playing Lucille really well. We want it to sound like you're hammered and you're playing as hard as you can. So when we recorded the music, we were in the Power Station, like Jeremy Allen White's there singing with us. And like the whole band is giant stacked, like huge amps. Every amp was on 10. And I'm trying to play a drum set like loud enough to compete with this stuff. Yeah. It was so loud and like my hands were bleeding.
Holy shit.
Because you're playing this. So if you listen to, because the soundtrack is on Spotify, you can just listen to the tracks. If you listen to it, like I'm totally like, I'm not trying to play well. I'm trying to like play every weird fill and like I'm trying to like hit rim shots on toms and like hit the rim on accident. Like I'm not trying to sound like I'm trying to sound like a fun bar band drummer.
Kind of the opposite of what you do. Yeah. Yes. Was that a challenge? So, it sounded like it.
No, it was so fun. It was it was obviously like, this is crazy. Yeah. But the funniest part was, you think movies are super organized, but they didn't tell me that when we were going to shoot the stuff that we would have to, originally it was that we were going to get pre-pro and then redo it live. But the scenes are actually us playing to our recording. So they didn't tell me that until like 3 days before, and I had to relearn all these parts of stuff that was not like, it's like a through composed thing of like some random fill that was like kind of off or whatever. I had to like relearn it.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it was a pretty pretty
Sounds
crazy.
pretty chaotic, yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, such a fun experience.
What an amazing experience, yeah. It sounds like very full circle to
yeah,
hear
it was,
that you
it was cool.
kind of grew up on that music.
I was a big fan of that record, and so that was like the first time I've like been in a movie. And
so first IMDb credits now.
Yeah, so if you fly Southwest, you know they have it on there now. So next fly date, you know,
that's we pretty much always do Southwest. So the next time I'm on a Southwest flight, I'm going to watch it.
Sweet, yeah. But yeah, that was really crazy thing, and so didn't really ever see that on my bingo card of, you know, and I'm like approaching it as a session player, like, all right, what do I need to do? Like, what's my task in this movie? And my parents are like, you're in a movie. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's like pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I'm like very like, not stoic, but like just try not to like get too wrapped up in whatever you do.
Right.
So I'm just like, oh yeah, like this is cool, I guess. Like it's, you know, and they're like, no, you're like in a movie. Like this is crazy. And I'm like, I guess it is pretty crazy, huh? All right.
It's nuts.
You don't have to share this, but like in general, was that a good paying gig?
I'd say, so basically I didn't have a line or anything. I think once you have a line in a movie, you get paid like, it's more like, not life-changing, but it's a bigger thing. But for that, basically the way I'm billed for that is it's like the SAG scale, which is the union for actors. Mm-hmm. And it's basically like you're billed as a background singer. So there's a certain like base pay, and you can look it up. It's somewhere around like $5,000 a week for a week of work. Mm-hmm. But they basically, when they were hiring me, they were like, hey, we're just going to pay you 2 weeks of work maximum, but you're only going to be shooting for like 3 or 4 days. So it's like super solid paycheck. Yeah. I don't know if I'll double check to make sure that I'm allowed to say what it is. So
sure.
For sure.
I think that's all like public. Like you can look up SAG
standard rates. Yeah.
So I think it's fine. But
cool,
I mean,
I'm just curious. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was cool. Now if I was like, you know, the camera panned in on me, I'm like, yo, hit it, Bruce. Like then that'd probably be like way more. But I didn't do that.
Right.
You know, like, hey man, kick it off. And then it's like, all right, you just made $4 million.
So you cut it off.
Yeah.
I should have been like, hey, I don't know if y'all know this, but music is a language. Whoa. So actually I have
speak. That means
I'm having quite a prominent line, actually.
I think the count off would have actually see if I had a manager or something, like I think they would have been like, hey, can he count off?
He
really
like, plays his best when my client needs to count off.
And then I could get on their health insurance, because if you like have a line, you can get on the health insurance, and that's like apparently awesome. But nope, just out in the marketplace, baby.
Yeah, again, that's a very cool experience.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. So that was pretty crazy. So no other movies yet in the works. So you know, might have been a one and done.
Any derivative works from that? Is that led to anything else, or
no? Not yet.
One-off?
Not yet. You never know.
You never know.
I don't think it will, but you know, I like what I do.
Yeah.
But that'd be hilarious if there's like, I got a call and someone's like, hey man, I saw you for like that 5-second clip in the Bruce Springsteen movie, and we need you to also play drums in this other movie with a drummer. That would be so funny.
You could be the guy now.
Yeah.
Or it could be unrelated to drums entirely.
Right.
Like,
you could upgrade a main character.
That guy's got something.
I could tell like when he didn't count that song off.
Yeah. He's got an image that we need.
Yeah. It was funny though. They did the whole thing with like mesh heads, and then the bottoms of the cymbals were so gaffed up. So you're like hitting, and they had period correct vintage drumsticks that are so weird to hold.
Sure.
And you're playing for like hours because they're getting different shots and camera angles, and it's like the amount of like, if I did this all the time, like I would totally like mess up my wrist, because you're just hitting like a 16-inch crash that's completely duct taped and just like boing, you can feel it just like resonate back into your hand.
Oh god.
But yeah, crazy experience. But
Hey drummers, are you worried about losing your hearing? Did you know noise exposure can cause permanent hearing loss? Dr. Jason Baker with Music City Audiology provides mobile concierge services to musicians in Nashville and surrounding areas. That's right, he is 100% mobile and will come to you. If you need ear impressions, custom in-ear products, ear cleaning, hearing tests, or information about protecting your ears, he's your guy. Music City Audiology cares about drummers and wants to help you maintain your most valuable tools, your ears. Visit MusicCityAudiology.com to book your consult today. That's MusicCityAudiology.com.
Yeah, hopefully it's helpful. I mean, that's I remember like, you know, when I was coming up in the world of drums and stuff, it always feels like it's so collaborative, and drummers are so helpful with their like knowledge. And I remember listening to podcasts. There's different drum podcasts through the years, and I would listen to people that like lived in cities that I wanted to move to, and listen to it and like try to get ideas about like the path or whatever. So it's like, that's the fact that you guys wanted me on here like means a lot. And
of course, man.
hopefully it was helpful to somebody out
You're
there.
100%. I know it for a fact it will be.
It was helpful to me already.
Okay,
So,
sweet.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. You want to just do some quick sort of rapid fire questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
For Aksel here?
Right.
Like Vader or Pro Mark?
I was thinking more along the lines of what's your least favorite continent?
Ooh, least favorite continent. I haven't traveled enough to really have a fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say that because I haven't been to all of them yet.
Okay,
So
that's fair. Then
that's impartial.
Let's scrap that question. If we had to have one planet in the solar system become our enemy, which would you choose?
Ooh, probably Pluto just because it's small.
Hates Plutonians. Got it?
Oh wait, are there beings out there?
Oh, there might be.
Coffee
Maybe
beans?
Mars. I don't know. Mars.
Yeah.
I'd say let's be enemies with Mars because if that's where all the rich billionaires go to abandon us, they're going to be our enemies anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'll say Mars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Favorite meal in Nashville?
Ooh, favorite meal in Nashville. I'd say I do love hot chicken. So I would say
He has been watching the podcast.
Red 615 by Springwater. I don't know if you all have been there.
I have been
that
there.
place is fire.
So good. Yeah.
Have you not been there yet?
No, but I love hot chicken.
I mean, I can't do. I do zero spice basically. But
Oh, I go hard
the way?
there.
You go hard?
This is my favorite spot. It used to be called Hog Heaven. I think it's a different ownership, but it used to be a barbecue place. It's right by the local, but it's just a little shack there, and it's amazing food.
Red 615.
Red 615.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, I mean, I could go on about food. I could talk about food for a
What
while.
about coffee? You drink coffee?
Yeah, coffee.
What are
ooh.
your spots? Coffee shops?
Coffee. I mean, if I had a little time machine, I'd just go back to the Portland Brew on 12 South. I'd go hit Forks and I'd walk to the Portland Brew and get a cold brew.
The good old days.
And I'd smoke an American Spirit on the porch when I was still smoking and have 0 gigs and just be like, I'm in the city,
But
man.
I'm doing it.
I'm
goddamn
here.
it. Yeah.
Portland Brew and Old Forks is an elite
I know,
combination.
it's
Percussion
sad.
hall. Right?
Yeah.
I think like coffee wise, like if I had to pick, like Portland Brew's like amazing daily driver cold brew, but I'm trying to think of like my favorite. There's this place called Petrichor that's like a sump variant, and
Heard of it. I haven't been there yet.
it's right. This is a hilarious TMI, but it's funny. But like I got like a bunch of checks, like union checks, stolen from my mailbox once. Like someone stole them and
That's
cashed
so
them
cool, man.
somewhere. Yeah, so that sucked. So
Horrible.
I was like, well, the thing you need to do is you get a PO box. That way, like anytime you get paid, you go there. But that little spot is right by my PO box. So if I want a fancy little espresso, I go in there. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like espresso. That's probably my favorite coffee drink because I don't know how to make it at home. So yeah, that's my answer. Or Osa cold brew. Pretty
Osa.
fire.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I like their croissants also.
Ooh, okay.
What non-musical hobbies do you have?
Non-musical hobbies.
Take my next question.
Not very many last year because I worked too much, and that's something I'll say straight into the camera is you have to enjoy your life, and if you make music your job and do too much of it, you could just do anything. But back in the day when I had more time, I still I ride motorcycles a lot, which is also dangerous, so maybe don't do that.
Street bike or dirt bike?
I ride dual sports, so they're street legal, but they're dual purpose. So I'll go out to Hickman County where there's a lot of county roads that are basically like gravel or dirt, and they go through like creek crossings, so you can go out there and ride off road, but it's it's public land.
That's sick.
So I'll do that. I was really into fishing for a while. I don't fish as much now, but I love going to the Harpeth and like floating with friends and catching smallmouth and doing that, or like trout fishing in the Smokies is pretty fun. Used to mountain bike a lot also. All these things kind of are like a little bit like at odds with drumming just because you like break your wrists, but cycling's good. I think that's a pretty fun one. Yeah, I work on my bikes sometimes too, so I get a little mechanical with it. But yeah, that's probably like the main stuff.
That's cool.
High hike. I think it's good to exercise. You got to make up for all the hot chicken you're eating and stuff.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, a lot of outdoor activities sounds like.
Yeah,
which
totally.
is probably a good balance from just being locked in your home studio. Right?
I think it's really healthy to
Get some vitamin D.
Yes. Yeah, which we haven't had a lot of recently, but
This
today
weekend
was
though.
pretty
Tomorrow's gonna be like 70.
Yeah, all right, let's
bless
go.
you.
Yeah, man.
There's sometimes I'm just in my basement and I'm just looking out the window and I have people come over and they're like, all right, well, see you later. And they're just in there sending their files. And I'm like, I should like figure out a way to be able to
With
like
a tear down,
do all the my invoice day should just somehow be outside or something.
Outdoor computer.
Yeah. I like that. I think this is our new business.
Oh my God.
They're waterproof. Outdoor computer. Yeah.
Somehow unstealable. It stays here no matter what.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just a stone that looks like a computer, but it doesn't actually do anything. You're like, no, I have to go work. And you're just like out in the sun, just chilling. You're like, no, I'm working. I'm answering emails.
Dude, carved. There you go.
Carved in stone.
A keyboard and a monitor out of granite.
Yeah. You're like, no, this is Pro Tools. I'm working.
Yeah. I'm just sending a couple files right now.
Yeah. I'm on the clock.
Where do you want people to find and follow you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm on Instagram. At Aksel Coe Drums, just in case you weren't sure what I do. It's Aksel Coe Drums. I think that's really about it. I don't really have any other crazy things. I have a YouTube channel that's all old videos of me that like maybe I should delete because they're not good. But I think that'd be a good thing. Is like some of that stuff I'm not like, I've gotten better, but I'm like, I'll just leave all that stuff up there so you can go on there and see me playing jazz band in middle school.
I love
or whatever.
watching the old
so
YouTube
that's
videos.
that's out there if you want to creep on me.
Your website I was looking at earlier is pretty cool.
It's okay.
It's like very minimalistic, which is I appreciate. Yeah.
Well, I'm like, maybe like I just like hate how many subscriptions there are.
Yeah.
So I have a Tumblr account that I've never used Tumblr, but you can host a website on Tumblr and then attach a website link to it.
Okay.
So it's technically a Tumblr page, and I don't really know how to edit it or anything. So it's like kind of just this clunky basic website.
It works though. I mean,
there's nothing really on there that you're not going
to
to see. But I think the Instagram's probably the place that I get on there. I'm trying to be off the phone a little bit more, but I mean, honestly, like even today, I was like, hey, like my drum throne's creaky, and I had like 20 messages from people like telling me, and I think that's one of the coolest things about Nashville and just the drum community is like we all like kind of know how sick drums are and stuff, and it's the best. So I don't think I'll ever get off Instagram just because that's still there. I just have to wade through all like the crazy bad stuff or just like the absurd,
all the bullshit,
distractions or whatever.
Yes,
but yeah,
easy to get sucked in. Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, I have like the Brick app on my phone, and I use that, but like you still got to get on there to post, and it's like, of course, I'm like, it's not even bad stuff. It's like I get on there and I'm like watching like Volvo 240 rally videos, and like people are driving these old Swedish cars through the snow, and I'm like scrolling for hours. And like, what am I doing? Like, but this is sick. But also like I just watch TV. Yeah. Just pick a show and watch TV instead of like your little micro TV or whatever.
Totally. Yeah. It's the same. Yeah. It's maybe worse. Yeah.
Yes. And then when you do it, you're contributing to the thing.
Yes.
So I'm like, maybe don't find me on Instagram, but maybe just throw your phone away.
This podcast.
Throw your phone away and just practice for a year.
Hey,
I'm just so jealous of you.
Yeah, man.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good way to end it. Obviously, with the Nashville community, like you said, is so open and obviously you're
and thanks for what you guys are doing, because this is awesome. People are learning from each other, and
we love doing this.
I think it's amazing. So
super glad to have you on, man.
Yeah, thanks. It. Amazing.
Yeah. Cheers.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nashville Drummers Podcast. If you liked it, please consider leaving us a review on the Apple Podcast app. Please consider supporting us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can help support this dream and keep the ball rolling for us. Believe it or not, it's not free or even necessarily cheap for us to make this thing go. To sign up, go to patreon.com/Nashville Drummers Podcast or click the link in our Instagram bio. All of your help is greatly appreciated.
Visit our website, NashvilleDrummersPodcast.com, where you can listen to all past episodes, learn more about myself and Nate, and buy all your favorite Nashville Drummers Podcast merch, including t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, hats, and drum heads. Connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube at Nashville Drummers Podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.